Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to the Milwaukee Mile for tonight's IndyCar 1909.com 225, brought to you by IndyCar1909.com. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight is Chris Wright, my buddy from the Monday night Mark Rubiles Photography Grand National Series. Chris, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Nice to have you here with us. Johnny Thomas couldn't make it out tonight. He went golfing and might have hit a bit too many people on the golf course and won't be with us. But taking a look at the weather here tonight, 75 degrees Fahrenheit is the ambient temperature, 55% relative humidity, partly cloudy, and 2-mile-per-hour wind. Track temperature currently 101 miles per hour. And taking a look at the race format here tonight, 225 laps, 9 sets of tires. And Chris, why don't we go ahead and take a look at our starting grid for the evening? Go ahead and get that pulled up on the screen here. Rolling off on the front row from RK Racing, it is Adriano Pinheiro alongside Seb Alexander, the Indy Alliance Racing driver. Row number 2, Victor Del Porto from Beneporto Pro Racing alongside Chad Frankenfield from Little Eagle. Jesper Orman there in row number 3 alongside Chris Samard, driver for FRR. Here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile. It's going to be an exciting race tonight. A little bit of a new look for that timing scoring over there as well, as you do see the driver, their current position, positions gained, car number, country flag, name, team name, laps, gap, interval. That is the pit lap, pit cycle, best lap, and last lap, so you can follow along there as well. As the field is currently out on the racetrack. Again, Adriano Pinheiro going to lead the field to green as they are coming around and making their way down to that green flag, which we should be getting to very, very soon here. Now, Chris, obviously your first race here tonight, actually, as the pace car makes its way off. We'll get to that in just a moment. Green flag is in the air. Adriano Pinheiro, the Bread King, with a great jump, but here comes, that is Seb Alexander and Adriano Pinheiro battling side by side. I do stand corrected. We don't go green right away here in the Warriors for Peace Open Wheel Series. We do one lap, get some heat in those tires, get some engine heat, and then we get set going here. So, Chris, what's your outlook for tonight here at the Milwaukee Mile?
Well, I think Milwaukee is one of those tracks that it's going to have some exciting racing tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of good racing, and then as always with these open wheel cars, they are going to come down to some strategy. When you get that full fuel load, how much fuel you need at the end. A lot of that in the one season I did in this, it was huge on being able to take just a couple seconds off your pit stop if you could. So I think that's what it's going to come down to, that last stop tonight, and who needs what fuel.
So if Dave is here, Dave, I need an update from you on what just happened to Ryan out on the racetrack.
Been having an issue with his USB cable today, and he said what I got from him, he said he had trouble with his pedals, and he wasn't able to get up to speed, so he just pulled out of the way so he didn't wreck anybody. So
oh no,
I don't know if he's gonna be able to run tonight.
So maybe a delay for Ryan Huckleberry to kickstart his season, but we'll certainly see him out, if not later tonight, then definitely in the near future. So down on the racetrack, Chris, it does look like the pace car is going to get set to pull off here this time by, so we should go green once the field comes around.
Yeah, and I will say this about the pedals. When we were taking off last night at Bristol, I had something fall off my desk and right underneath my brake pedal. Don't want anything messing up with those pedals down there.
Absolutely not. Pace car's off. Adriano Pinero will take the green flag this time. We are green in the IndyCar1909.com, 225 at the Milwaukee Mile. Already seeing a battle for that second position is Seb Alexander losing spots right away to Victor Del Porto and Chad Frankenfield. An early drop through the field for Seb Alexander. Chris Samard joining that battle now, coming up to the rear. And here comes Jesper Orman looking to the inside of Samard for position number 5. So battles all throughout the field already here just on lap number 1. We're going to see this all night long. Of course, a relatively short racetrack here at the Milwaukee Mile, so it really invites some side-by-side battles all throughout the field.
Yeah, and one thing that happens in these open wheel cars is the dirty air has such a dramatic effect that we will see multiple lines used around here tonight that you would not normally see in real life when you sit down and watch one of these races. We got a spinner. I believe that is Ethan Stanley spinning off of turn 2.
Ethan Stanley goes around into the inside wall. That rear wing has come off the Ethan Stanley machine. Chris, let's go ahead and pull up a replay and see what just happened to the Ethan Stanley machine. Car number 91 was running around the 20th position and now finds himself heading back to pit road. As we take a look, just looks like he got a little bit of aero push underneath the car there. I'm not sure who that was just behind him. I'm going to back it up for you folks and just take a closer look. That does appear to be the number 25 machine of Craig Forsyth. Got a little bit of air underneath the rear of that Ethan Stanley machine, and that's usually not overly helpful in these open wheel cars. And now Ethan will find his way back to pit road for some repairs.
Yeah, and one thing that Ethan tried to do right there too is he ran the middle just above the fresh pavement down there on the bottom between two cars, and then on the exit he turned down across that pavement, and I think that's where he lost some rear traction.
So an interesting tidbit right here that I'm seeing, and I'm sure you've noticed this as well already, Chris, and those at home, you can see up in the event section of our timing and scoring on screen here, we did just have the Joshua Chin machine come down pit road. So Chin going for an early pit stop here at the Milwaukee Mile. Going to be very interesting to see how that pays off a little bit later on.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would pit right here. But we shall see. I mean, he gave up 11th as well to do that. So he's going to go, he gave up a lot of track position.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to follow along and kind of see what Joshua Chin can do. Gavin Hibbs also coming to pit road, and I do just want to give a shout out here. It is the month of June now, and Gavin Hibbs, although you can't see it at home, he is running a special livery for Men's Mental Health Month. So, of course, mental health important for all, and this month really putting an emphasis on men's mental health, and Gavin Hibbs out here supporting on board his number 95 machine. So shout out to Gavin for the great support of such a great cause.
Yeah, and Joshua Chin came back and topped off here as well. Ethan Stanley also has rejoined the field, did not lose a lap. It would appear he has a new rear wing on his machine now.
They did get that rear wing put on the number 91 machine. So Ethan Stanley will be able to rejoin the field here. I believe lights will go off on the pace car this time by 5 laps in, 220 to go here in the IndyCar1909.com, 225 at the Milwaukee Mile. And Chris, one thing we did not do before the start of the race was make picks to win tonight. So as the guest here in the series, I'm going to go ahead and give you the first opportunity to make a pick.
I have no idea. Can you tell me who's won the races this year?
Robert Malechka is a 2-time winner this season, and he is actually not here.
Well, that's interesting. So I think, based on what I know in the series and based on some of the names that I'm familiar with, Adriano is probably the guy. But that's easy pickings there. I could pick him, and that's not out on too big of a limb. So I'm going to drop back in the field. I'm gonna pick a guy that I know, that I've talked to a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop down. I'm gonna take Mark Murphy.
Mark Murphy, the pick for Chris Wright here tonight. A very interesting pick, actually. Mark hasn't had too bad of a season, and he's looking for his opportunity to sneak away a victory tonight. The pace car is down pit road, and
who's your pick?
We're going to do one more lap of pacing here. We're going to do one more lap of pacing. So you went with Mark Murphy. I'm not going to go too far from Mark, and I'm going to go just a little bit further down the field. A guy that had a fairly decent run last time we were here and has shown great improvement in all Elite Series in 2023. I'm going to go with the 24 machine tonight of Michael Hossack, the driver out of Canada. As Adriano gets that machine wound up, green flag back in the air for the IndyCar 1909.com 225 here, as Pinheiro does jump out to a quick lead. Victor Del Porto now battling for that second spot with Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield chasing down Del Porto as they head off into turn number 1. Yellow flag already out. Looks like Ethan Stanley once again, Chris, and he is going to call it a night. Let's take a look and see what happened there. I believe Ethan just ended up losing it by himself off into turn number 1. Carried a bit too much pace. Oh, that was a hard hit for Ethan Stanley. Oh my gosh. Overcorrect is an understatement, Chris. Ethan Stanley obliterated that number 91 machine. Also, an update from race control lap number 3. A self-spin tally was issued to the number 91 machine of Ethan Stanley. And I do believe on lap number 9, a self-spin tally will also be issued to that number 91. And his night is complete here already.
And Ethan actually, he stated here after that wreck there, that had something to do with the previous wreck. The rear wing wasn't completely fixed. He goes down into turn 1. He gets loose, overcorrects, and then just head on into the wall, and the car's destroyed. It looked fixed to us, didn't it, Robert? I thought it was fixed. You thought it was fixed. Ethan thought it was fixed too.
It looked pretty good, to be honest. Kevin Burrell just had a moment on the racetrack as well. I believe he's just falling back. Yeah, he just stopped to let guys by. So on your timing and scoring, it does say that Kevin Burrell crashed. He did not crash. So if you're a Kevin Burrell fan, do not have any sort of fear. He is okay. He is still going out on the racetrack right now. We are 10 laps in. Adriano Pinheiro and Victor Del Porto on the front row. Chad Frankenfield, Jesper Orman, row number 2. Seb Alexander and Chris Samard there in row number 3. Rodrigo Frangioni in row number 4 alongside Mark Murphy. Jared Rexing and Eric Troiano rounding out the top 10. Just outside the top 10, Justin Fortner alongside Zachary Flom. Michael Hossack and Colin Culpa there in row number 7. Row 8, we see Ryan Schultz and Chad Simpson. Craig Forsyth and Butch Davis there in row number 9 with Don Hunter and Jacob Weist rounding out the top 20. AJ Hobson, Brant Johnson there in row number 11. Kevin Burrell coming down pit road. So that moves Alan Stover and Robert Smith there to the 23rd and 24th positions. Chris Walker in 25th alongside Michael Bourne. Chris Webb and Gavin Hibbs there in row number 14. Joshua Chin and Bill Colley in row 15. Beto Sousa and Kevin Burrell will be in row 16. And off the racetrack at this point is Ethan Stanley and Ryan Huckleberry due to some early race incidents there for those drivers. And unfortunate to retire early from an event like this, and we definitely hope to see both of them back out here next week. Now, Chris, obviously having a little break in the racing here. Do want to go back a couple weeks ago when we ran our Rabilas 500 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a race it was for Robert Malechka, picking up his 3rd consecutive 500 victory here in the Elite Racing League. That is unheard of just about anywhere, and for Malechka to do that 3 times in a row is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it just shows, he knows that speedway, he knows these cars, and somebody's going to have to beat him at this point. We're going to do it again here in, I guess, about 6 months' time. So
I think what we're going to have to do for the next one is I think the Elite Racing Network's going to have to sponsor a bounty on that Robert Malechka machine. Obviously, they have to beat him clean, but I think whoever can beat Malechka could pick up a little bit of a payday, and if Malechka beats himself and or beats everyone else, then he should pick up a little bit of extra cash as well. So the lights are off on the pace car. He's going to come down pit road now. Once again, we're going to do one additional pace lap, let the field get gathered back up, go single file for this restart, as Pinero's just going to get a bit of additional heat into his motor as we circle around here at the Milwaukee Mile.
now I do have to ask about that bounty you were talking about putting out. That's going to be straight out of Dave's pocket, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Dave said that he wants to put a lot of money into this. I believe he said somewhere around $10,000 to $15,000 towards this bounty, and that's going to be something very interesting. They don't take a check.
Oh, no check? Okay.
As we come off of turn number 4, Adriano Pinero getting that machine wound up. Green flag, and we're back underway here in the IndyCar 1909 225 here at the Milwaukee Mile. Battle continues there for that 2nd position. Del Porto and Frankenfield battling it out. Frankenfield looking for an opportunity to jump to the inside. Seeing a battle a little bit further back as well. Samard, Alexander, and Frangioni battling for position. Seeing Jared Rexing chasing down the Mark Murphy machine, looking for an opportunity to work his way up into the top 8 here, Chris. And we're seeing a lot of battles all throughout the field, and looks like the first side-by-side battle will be the Rodrigo Frangioni and Chris Samard machines, as Frangioni able to clear Chris Samard for position number 6.
Yeah, and just based on what I'm seeing right now, it looks like the lane that you want is about a lane and a half up the racetrack. It seems like if you're willing to get the bottom to somebody, it's really hard to make that work.
Absolutely. As we look a little bit further back, we see Jared Rexing battling with the Zachary Flom machine. Flom up on the high side, Rexing all the way down to the inside. Flom almost pushing up into the outside wall as he comes off of turn number 4. Rexing looking for an opportunity to take the quick route around the racetrack, dropping all the way nearly to the apron. And we have to keep an eye as well, Chris, as Joshua Chin, as he works his way up through the field, already back up to position number 24, up nearly 10 spots since his pit stop not too long ago.
Yeah, one thing I question here is if he was trying to eliminate a pit stop by pitting, I wonder if this helped or hurt him.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the pit window is here tonight. We unfortunately did not have the resource to gather that information. As we actually see now Gavin Hibbs battling with Chris Walker. That's for position number 25. Hibbs on the inside in his men's mental health machine, passing the Chris Walker machine. That is for 25th position. And yeah, I definitely have to wonder if this was a strategy call. Oh, AJ Hobson goes around, and we are under caution once again. AJ Hobson and Brant Johnson, the Onsons, involved in this one. Taking a look at the replay machine. Oh, that was big net code on my end. I don't know if you saw that, Chris.
I don't believe it was netcode. I believe the AJ car there just got loose. They got down close, but if you look, that thing starts sliding out from under him. I don't think that there was any netcode.
Look at how close Joshua Chin was to getting involved in that. Joshua Chin nearly... Oh, he does get into AJ Hobson. after the incident, Joshua Chin and AJ Hobson get together on the racetrack. That might have put some damage on that Chin machine. We'll have to take a look and see if he opts to come down pit road. He is sitting low on the racetrack, and here he comes. Joshua Chin to pit road. Unexpected pit stop here for the number 93 machine after contact with AJ Hobson here on lap
his
number
contact
20.
was with Brant Johnson there.
I do stand corrected. I got the wrong answer in there, as Brant Johnson ended up getting into the Joshua Chin machine. We'll see how long Chin spends on pit road. Caution on lap number 20. That is, I believe, our 4th caution at this point, Chris. So some early issues here at the Milwaukee Mile. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break here, pay some bills, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes' time here on the Elite Racing Network.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here in the IndyCar1909.com 225 here at the Milwaukee Mile. Of course, tonight's race sponsor is IndyCar1909.com. That is IndyCar1909.com for IndyCar past, present, and future. Of course, you just heard from TA Services, one of our premier partners, alongside Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, close to the Gateway Arch, featuring a 1.25-mile oval, which is actually home to the NASCAR Cup and Truck Series this weekend, alongside a 2-mile road course, a quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check them out today. And of course, Warriors for Peace, our series sponsor, is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check out warriorsforpeace.org for more information. That's Warriors, the number 4, peace.org. Chris, we are just getting a bit of heat in those engines, and we're going to let them go loose here again in just a moment's time when they come off of turn 4 this next time. What can we expect here in this early portion of the race? Do you think maybe they calm down just a little bit?
Well, I hope so, but back to what you were saying about Gateway, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet this week, search Worldwide Technology Raceway into your Googler and get yourself some tickets if you're close enough to St. Louis.
Green flag back out in the air here. Adriano Pinheiro on the loud pedal. Immediately side-by-side battle between Chad Frankenfield and Victor Del Porto. Del Porto with a brief advantage over Frankenfield. Don't look now, Jesper Orman has been set free. He's coming as well, as is Rodrigo Frangioni, not too far behind, as Del Porto's actually closing up on the rear of the Pinheiro machine, which is the first time we've seen this tonight. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on throughout the event here. We do have a battle a little bit further back in the field. Chris Webb, Chris Walker swapping positions. We're going to keep our eyes up front, though, as Del Porto, Frankenfield, and Orman now battling for the second position. It is side by side through turn number 3. Del Porto does briefly edge ahead of Frankenfield. Frankenfield going to look for another opportunity to get up there and get by that Del Porto machine with 198 laps to go. So a long way to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. Chris, let's take a look a little bit further back, find us a battle to take a peek at, and looks like it's going to bring us back here to the battle with Zachary Flom and Justin Fortner as they nearly make contact off of turn number 4. That is Flom up on, or that is Fortner on the high side, Flom on the bottom, as once again they nearly make contact off of turn number 2.
Yeah, it just looks like that bottom side. If they're 3 wide up in front of them now.
3 wide. Seb Alexander, Eric Troiano, and I do believe that to be Chris Samard in that battle as well. Samard wins out, moves up to position number 6 as Troiano looks to the inside. He gets into Samard. Samard goes around.
Oh, this is big. This is big.
Catch. Oh, no. That is massive. Eric Troiano involved. Mark Murphy involved. I believe Jacob Weist involved. I think Michael Hosek snuck through. Don Hunter's involved. Craig Forsyth is involved as well. Oh my gosh, Chris. That all started with a little bit of contact into the rear of the Chris Samard machine. Samard actually did a great job of saving that car, but that's not what these guys were hoping for, as that might have just taken a lot of guys out of contention here.
Yeah, it looks like down into 1 here. Eric made a late move here, trying to dive underneath the guy, clipped him. Who is this that he tagged? Eric tagged Chris Samard there.
Yep.
Samard spun up, Eric spun down, and then came up and collected Mark Murphy. Also collected Ryan Schold here in this wreck. Mark Murphy went up and collected Justin Fortner.
Troiano has his left front tire wobbling on that machine and his rear wing hanging off. So Troiano likely done for the day. Murphy looks repairable at this point, so I think he'll be okay. But
Butch Davis is also getting a piece
Butch
of this.
was
Don
involved.
Hunter.
Chris Samard is the one guy, Chris, that his car doesn't look terrible right now. It looks like he can manage the damage on this machine. He'll likely come down pit road anyways for a bit of attention from his crew. But the Chris Samard machine could have been one of the worst affected by this incident, and I think he was actually one of the least affected out of all the cars involved.
Can I just say, Don Hunter has a great-looking speed racer scheme, and somehow he spun out through the middle of this wreck, but hit nothing.
Yeah, that's
a whole lot of
incredible.
luck and a little bit of skill, and the speed racer machine will live to fight another day here.
You know, Chris, speaking of the liveries on these machines, they are absolutely stunning out here on the racetrack. I haven't seen this many great liveries in one spot in a long time. We got the 2 Bread King cars at Panero and Frangioni up here in the top 5. We see a bunch of different sponsors all throughout the field. Jared Rexing in his typical Nesquik machine. I love Colin Culpa's car. I think that one really stands out. Really cool machine, especially with the American flag draped over the engine pod there. I think that just looks really cool. I see the Moradness machine on Chad Simpson. Shout out to Daniel Morad there on side of that number 42 car. Do you even know who Daniel Morad is, Chris?
I do not.
So Daniel Morad is a Canadian road course racer, races professionally. He's also a professional iRacer and streamer, and he has a brand of sim racing gloves and whatnot that's known as Moradness. I've had the pleasure of racing with Morad a couple times, and it's always cool to see his name out and about.
It's always cool to see all the people who choose to come over and race in all these different elite series. It's a lot of excitement and a lot of fun.
Did you see the post that Chad put out the other day? It might have been even today on the Elite Racing League social media pages, talking about the 500 that just took place this past weekend. 19 of the 33 drivers that took that starting grid on Sunday have competed in the Elite Racing League. That is phenomenal.
That's great. That's a great stat. That's a great number. And for those of you watching at home, I made the comment about going and getting your tickets for Gateway. I have done the legwork for you. Tickets start at $67. There are still tickets available for Worldwide Technology this weekend for the Cup and Truck Series. And your kids will get in for just $20. So there's great seats left. Lots of seats are left. Go and support the local racetrack there just outside of St. Louis.
Absolutely, and be sure to check out that Gateway Arch while you're there as well. That's definitely one of my bucket list tracks, Chris. I've always enjoyed racing it on iRacing. I would love to be there in person just to check out a race and see everything going on there. And our friends at Worldwide Technology Raceway, they do a great job and really do a great... they're a great partner of ours, and we're really proud to have them here. As Adriano Pinero does get on the loud pedal here. Green flag, we're back on our way here at the Milwaukee Mile. Immediately, Victor Del Porto and Chad Frankenfield resuming that battle for second place. Frankenfield on the high side, Del Porto on the inside as side-by-side continues down the back straightaway off into turn number 3. Frankenfield briefly with the advantage, but here comes Orman to the high side of Del Porto. Now the battle for third. Orman was looking to the outside, now falls back into that 4th position. He's going to have to hold over the other bred king of Rodrigo Frangioni here momentarily as Frangioni looks to the inside. He falls back into position number 5. A bit of a gap back to Zachary Flom as Seb Alexander trying to hold off a run from Jared Rexing. Rexing trying to hold off Culpa as there's another gap behind them to Simpson. Simpson in a little bit of a bubble. And then we have Butch Davis trying to hold off Michael Hossack, who's trying to hold off Jacob Wiest. We have battles all throughout this field, Chris.
Yeah, lots of battles, which is leading us to have a whole lot of yellow flags that we've seen a lot of here so far. So curious to see if these guys can get into a rhythm, try to make some time happen. But there are a lot of cars out here. We've talked about the effects of dirty air. And when you're the 10th car in line, you're trying to pass the 9th car in line, who's trying to pass the 8th car in line. And sometimes things happen, and it leads to that yellow flag getting some more work.
Absolutely, and I'm looking a little bit further back in the field. We have a side-by-side battle. Brant Johnson and Craig Forsyth side-by-side down the back straightaway into turn number 3. We do have Forsyth on the inside, Johnson on the high side, and Joshua Chin trying to join that battle as well. He's trying to work his way back up to the front, took an early pit stop, and I wonder if he's regretting that now.
Yeah, I don't know if the early pit stop was the call, but he's got a lot more experience in these cars than I do.
That's exactly it. Joshua Chin is one of the best in this particular car, which shall not be named unless we're talking about our sponsor. Joshua Chin nearly gets the pit wall there. But, yeah, he's one of the best on the service in this particular car, Chris, so can't really second-guess the decisions made by Joshua Chin as him and Brant Johnson nearly come together off into turn number 3.
Oh, I can second guess any decision I want. It's just, I think a lot of these guys might make me look stupid for doing it in a series that I don't know a whole lot about.
Chris, I want to ask you a question as we just saw Joshua Chin nearly get that pit wall. There's been a lot of talk about people wanting a rule at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway about being able to run your competitors all the way down to that pit wall in the front straightaway. What are your thoughts on that as we nearly saw Newgarden and Erickson get into that pit wall this previous weekend in the 500 at Indianapolis?
I can see both sides of the coin. You want to protect the drivers against themselves, right? Sometimes the drivers don't realize what's best, so I can see that. But at the same time, it's something that the drivers have to think about too. I don't think they should have to institute a rule for them to say that, because sometimes you might get down there by accident or something might happen and you have to go down there just a little bit. Now I will say the last lap, obviously that was totally intentional, being all the way down there and whatnot, but I mean, you really have nobody to blame but yourself if you were to be one of the guys who got down there and hit it. As we had contact here, somebody's lost part of their front wing into turn 3. I'm not sure who it was.
We'll take a quick gander through the field since somebody's lost a front wing.
Yeah, I saw it rolling down the backstretch, and it's still sitting on the inside into turn 3, it looks like. But I'm not sure who it was, but whoever that is has got to be going around here at a snail's pace now.
taking a run through the field. Trying.
Oh, we got a wreck.
That might have been Brant Johnson. He's definitely lost his front wing now. Chris, as he's wrecked it again, trying to get that thing spun around. So I do wonder if potentially Brant Johnson was the culprit there.
I don't believe so. It looks like Brant just
going
to run up on the curb and stayed on the curb until it spun out.
Taking a look, Brant Johnson gets down onto the yellow rumble strips. That sends Johnson around up into the outside wall. That's when he loses a portion of that front wing, comes down the racetrack to spin it around, spins right back up the racetrack. Brant Johnson in his second incident of the evening. Unfortunate there for Brant Johnson on lap number 45. We are under caution once again here, Chris. Obviously, unfortunate, but just taking a look through the field, some early movers. Actually, I will hold off on that as it looks like some of our drivers are coming down pit road. 5th place, Rodrigo Frangioni. 7th place, Zachary Flom. The 9th place, Jared Rexing, also coming down pit road. Michael Hosek, Alan Stover were just outside the top 10. Chris Walker, Ryan Schuld, Robert Smith. Chris Samard was in the earlier incident. He also comes down pit road. And already on pit road and likely done for the day, Brant Johnson, Mark Murphy, Eric Troiano, Justin Fortner, AJ Hobson, Ethan Stanley, and Ryan Huckleberry. Not Dave Huckleberry, but pretty darn close. Actually, probably in the same house. So I think that's as close as you can get.
And I found the culprit for our front wing. It looks like Ryan Schold lost his right front wing when he came off of turn 2, got out a little too close to Brant Johnson, who ended up being the caution. And they touched, and Schold lost his front wing there.
So luckily for Ryan Schuld, that is something that they can repair. But as we saw with, I believe it was the Ethan Stanley machine, Chris, they don't always repair it 100%.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't see it until after Schold went down into the corner running up against the wall and really slow. And
going to be very interesting here to take a look and see what happens with under 200 to go now. 177 laps remaining in the event. Biggest mover thus far in the field is actually Beto Sousa in the BK Racing number 73 machine, up 20 spots. Started 33rd up to 13th. Of course, we are in a bit of a pit cycle right now, but positions gained for Sousa, and he's done a nice job. Another big gainer in the field, Butch Davis, up 19 spots to position number 7 in his number 41 machine. We see Jacob Wiest up 16 spots in the 04 machine for Apollo Motorsports. Also up 16, Bill Cawley for OVDTR.com Racing. He is up to the 18th spot, up 16 positions from the green flag. Some of the biggest drops in the field thus far are people involved in incidents in Mark Murphy, Eric Troiano, and company is Bill Cawley. We just talked about you, and now he's coming down pit road.
he got his TV time. It's time to get some fuel in that machine.
Well, actually, you got radio time, Chris, because we can't show these cars here on the YouTube screen. But of course, folks, if you do want to see some images of tonight's race and whatnot, you can head over to the Elite Racing League social media channels. Chad Frankfield will likely at least post a picture of the winning driver tonight, which thus far has been Adriano Pinero, but a long, long way to go here in tonight's race. Chad Frankenfield has done a phenomenal job working his way up through the field, and I think he might be able to jump up there as... I don't know, Chris, if my eyes are closed or if it just got really dark here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Looks like we got some heavy cloud cover. Are we expecting some weather to move in here?
I don't know. It might be a little bit of a rainstorm or something coming through, as it is definitely dark at the Milwaukee Mile. That could change the pace that these drivers are going to move at, as the track temperatures may fall with that cloud coverage. Pinero down the back straightaway, heading towards turn number 3. He's getting some heat in that engine. We're going to go green this time. By for Pinero and Frankenfield. Up front, Del Porto, Orman, and Alexander rounding out the top 5 off of turn number 4. Chris, Seb, Adriano Pinero. I'm excited for Seb to be up there. Adriano Pinero on the loud paddle, green flag, and we're back underway here at the Milwaukee Mile. Pinero off into turn number 1, does have a sizable lead over Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield trying to chase down the race leader, Pinero, down the back straightaway. There's probably about 6 or 7 car lengths between the two drivers. Del Porto there in 3rd, Orman in 4th, Alexander there in 5th, Culpa, Davis, Simpson, Weist, and Hibbs the top 10. Gavin Hibbs doing a nice job up inside that top 10 now, and just outside we see the Chris Webb machine trying to work his way up as well. And don't look now, just a little bit further back, Chris, I'm seeing the number 93 machine of Joshua Chin up to P15.
Yeah, slowly making his way back up there. He pitted from, like I talked about earlier, he pitted from 11th, so he's not quite back up to where he was, but he's getting there.
Absolutely. As we see a battle now developing for positions
3
12
wide
through
right here.
15th. Sousa, Hunter, and Forsyth all swapping spots. Currently, Sousa with the advantage over Don Hunter, able to clear the Hunter machine. Hunter falls back to P13, now under fire from Forsyth. Forsyth to the bottom, Hunter to the high side, nearly make contact in turn number 1 and 2 as they get relatively close. Here comes Josh Chin looking for an opportunity to get around Craig Forsyth. Forsyth closes the door. Now Chin looks to the high side. Chin going to fall back, maintain his spot in P15 as Forsyth able to hold on to that 14th position for now. But that battle sure to heat up a little bit later on in the event, as it looks like Victor Del Porto now has a bit of company. It is Jesper Orman closing that gap. Orman, the number 60 machine for Indy Alliance, closing the gap on the Beneporto number 27 machine of Del Porto, who's currently running in the 3rd spot, trying to chase down Frankenfield, who is trying to chase down Pinero. Is Pinero doing a great job thus far? I think he's led every single lap in tonight's event.
Yeah, but now we know we were on split strategies, so will he be able to overcome that? You know, what's the fuel windows looking like? What's everybody's strategy looking like? That's the one thing that I struggled with learning over here in these cars, is it's so hard to get track position. You can't drive your way back through the field like you can in a stock car. You know, at Bristol last night, you were able to take tires when others didn't and drive your way from 20th to the top 5. You're not going to do that tonight. It's the strategy stuff. You have to pick a strategy and just stay to it. You can't flip around and do things different like you can in a stock car.
That's exactly it. And one thing that's kind of different here with the pit strategy you guys have been on thus far is you're seeing guys like Davis and Simpson and Weist that haven't necessarily been in the top 10 thus far. Not saying they're off pace, not saying anything like that, because they're doing a great job maintaining the top 10 right now, but they're up in the top 10, and you have guys like Josh Chin, Rodrigo Frangioni, Jared Rexing, Zachary Flom, Ryan Schold, all back 15th through 20th or so, and they're going to have to work their way through. So that's when you're going to see potential issues happening. There's going to be a difference in pace among some of these guys, but the draft is also really strong in the open wheel cars, so that could also play a big factor and potentially lead to some crashes or some really great battles.
Well, we've had the crashes tonight, that's for sure. And joining us now is a driver, my pick to win the race tonight, and he's joining us now. So it's obviously not happening there for me to go and get the pick right. So I apologize, Mark, for picking you there and I guess dooming your night there. So tell us about how the cars were driving out there. And we were just discussing a fuel window and what these strategies might look like for some of these guys that stayed out right here.
Yeah, so right now you're looking at a 2-stopper. There's been enough cautions where everybody should be able to make it to lap 85 and then lap 155 pretty comfortably. One of the kind of the tricks here at Milwaukee is that you're actually faster in some of the lower fuel maps. So if you can kind of learn how to be fast in map 3 or 4 and get really to that 68 to 70 lap mark, you're going to be in really good shape. And then of course we've had 4 or 5 cautions. So I think I was set to be able to make it on 2 more stops, just with what we'd already had, and they've had another yellow since.
Yeah, now you were part of the big wreck. I'm going to call it the big one here tonight. What did you see as that wreck started there going down the front stretch, and is there anything you could have done to still be out here running, or did you do all you could do and it's just, kind of like what we see maybe if you're a stock car guy at Daytona Talladega, they're just wrecking everywhere and you're just trying to get through it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I saw Eric and Chris hit, and it was kind of an opportunistic move maybe. But I'm hit, and I knew I was going to miss Chris going, spinning high. Triana got down on like the rumble strip area. I thought I had him cleared too. It was already in the corner, but so you really can't. Unlike a stock car, you really can't move them that much. It's an instant. Try to move these things in the corner more than just open your hands up or close them up a little bit. You're going to spin them, and unfortunately, he started backing up across the track and just got into me. I was maybe a foot away from making it, but it's a shame. The Black Magic Racers car was fast. The Little Eagle cars are still fast. That wreck got 2 of us, but we've still got 2 bullets out there, surely, and of course Chad's running second, really strong second to Adriano right now.
So, and you mentioned the fuel winners there. So lap 85 is the number you're watching. What was that second number?
Lap 85 and lap 155 were my two targets to make. Felt like if you could make it to those 2, effectively, if you make it to 85, it's a 2-stopper. You get to 155, that's your last stop.
So there's no benefit. Like, let's say you pit at lap 155, caution comes out at lap 190, 200. There's no benefit in getting tires, right?
There can be. So in the official races, we saw a lot of right front wear. Matter of fact, we had guys, because officials were here 2 weeks ago, saw a lot of wear on the right front. Here it's a little bit cooler, so the tires aren't wearing out as fast. You could see some benefit to tires if, depending on where you are in a run. I don't think you're going to see a benefit to them if there's less than half a tank through. But if you're, if there's 25 to go or something, and you're in the back, I'd probably come on and get me some tires just because it can't hurt at that point. But there's no real dag. I mean, we were running. Matter of fact, I ran my fastest lap in the official race with 2 to go on a no stop. So, I mean, they're not. They wear out and they get hot, but they're not. You don't lose time.
Well, and so far, Adriano has. Oh, we're under caution here once again. It's off of turn 4. Is it Gavin Hibbs, maybe?
Yeah, Gavin Hibbs just involved in our latest caution here at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's take a look here, Chris, and see what happened to Gavin. I think it was just a solo spin for Mr. Hibbs out here.
Oh, just another overcorrect. It looks just like the Ethan Stanley crash.
That's exactly what happened to Ethan Stanley. So unfortunate there.
So, Mark, you're still with us. What is causing these overcorrects? This is Gavin Hibbs and Ethan Stanley are 2 guys you don't typically think of as guys who are going to overcorrect a race car like that. And Ethan said it might have been his damage already that he had, but I mean, this is looking the same thing. There's just not a lot of rear grip here. Maybe trying to get the power down.
So Milwaukee's a pretty complex thing when it comes to trying to balance these cars and get them set. So basically what you've got is, you've got the tools in the car, the front and rear anti-roll bars, you've got weight jacker, and you've got fuel map. And the setup here for this car is biased toward oversteer anyway. And so if you've got too much rear bar or you've got too much weight jacker, you're going to be really light coming off the corner. The other part of that is that a lot of the fast guys, you're seeing them run fuel maps to control wheel spin. So like myself, Adriano, I know Chad is. I can't speak for some of the other guys up front, Victor and Jesper and Colin, but I would assume that they're all doing the same things. You're using fuel maps 3, 4, and 6 to control wheel spin. So if you've got fuel map 1 and you've got all that horsepower, you're going to light the rear tires up coming off the corner. You're going to light the rear tires up coming off the corner, and I think that's what's causing some of this. You've got a lot of guys that aren't as familiar with the car. You know, that may be great stock car drivers, but they're not as familiar with the tools, and you know, they're lighting the tires up coming off the corner because they're just trying to get too much power down at once.
All right, now I'm going to put you back in the driver's seat here, Mark. You talked about lap 85, right? That's where you wanted to get to? Well, here we are at lap 75, and our leaders have pitted. And Adriano was our leader. He has pitted here at lap 75, still working the yellow. He is going to restart 8th. What is his situation now? As he just jumped on this strategy, he's going to have 2 stops, and just one of them's going to be a really short one to get, because he's not going to need but about 10 laps of fuel? Or do you think he can play with the fuel numbers enough and the fuel mixture enough to be able to save 10 laps of fuel?
Oh, for heaven's sakes, yes. I mean, right now, you're sitting on, you know, if you're Josh Chin, I don't know exactly when he stopped, but
Lap 21.
okay, so Josh at this point is good to the lap 85 number, because you can get 70 out of a tank. Stopped at 21. He's good. So any of those guys that were in the back there, they're, you know, that stopped at 21, they're good on 2 more. Can you play with the fuel map and get 10 laps from here? No, you're going to need some caution. To be frank, Chris, and Robert, you're going to need 3 or 4 more cautions. You're going to need at least 3 more cautions.
So does it surprise you that he chose to give up the lead here in pit before the window opened?
No, because it's still a pretty good bet that you're going to get 3 more cautions out of here. We started 30, what?
34.
34 cars. Yeah, you started a huge field here, and yeah, there's quite a few of us out of the race already, but there are still plenty of opportunities throughout this field for a yellow light. So, you know, I don't think you're gonna have any problem getting some caution. The other part of that is, you know, they'd been out for, you know, they hadn't stopped yet. So, you know, their fuel was getting really light, and the last thing you want to do here is pit under green.
Well, it will be interesting, and that is the voice of Mark Murphy. He is out of this race right now. Mark, before we let you go, or you can hang around if you want. I know you do a little bit of broadcasting here at Elite Racing Network. Why don't you tell us about your sponsors right here real quick?
Yeah, so got a couple of those. Mike Magic Designs has been with me for about a year. Andy and Colby and their crew do a lot of custom artwork for these cars and iRacing. They're absolutely fabulous at what they do. We just got a car done for one of my other sponsors over at Raceverse. Raceverse is a rival. I wouldn't call them a rival, but
oh, and we are 3 wide. Sorry, Mark. Adriano tried to make a pass and almost washed up into the car he was trying to pass.
Now watch him, because his line is unique among everybody else here, Adriano's, right? It is absolutely unique in that he enters the corner later, and he's somehow able to make the car cut down to the bottom in ways that I have yet to figure out. It is a tremendously unique line, and he's able to make it work. I sat and watched his video of the official race over and over again. I can't do it. So kudos to him. But he's going to be worth the price of admission.
And we got a wreck here, Chris Webb.
Okay, so there's
no caution. He's going to get it righted. He did wreck the right front.
He is missing a right front wheel, so we may still get that caution.
Hey, slow on the back, guys, and here come the leaders. And Webb is just going through 3 and 4. Very slow on the bottom.
Here comes the leaders on the outside.
They all make it through there. What a great job at driving. Chris Webb somehow kept that car on the bottom. And Shin and them guys made it through there.
That was scary.
Just a little bit. That could have been bad. Yeah, I mean, them guys in the back, if you're in the back, you're probably getting, I think I was getting, my fuel number on my dash was 4.25. So you're basically getting 4.25 laps a gallon here. Which, you know, I went to Ball State, so help me out with that math. That's, what's 18 divided by 4? So you can maybe go 78 laps if you really, really are careful and nurse it in the draft. Maybe. I don't know how you get any more than that, though.
I don't know. You started talking about all those numbers, and I think that's way above Bobby and myself said there.
Nah, man. I mean, y'all are smart. I've seen y'all calculate fuel in a stock car on a fly. You don't have all the fancy tools and gauges and the $1 million dash that we got in these.
Man,
things,
I got an app that does my fuel for me.
Oh no.
I come down pit road and it just puts in how much fuel I need, and that's it.
The way I drive my stock car, it's not about the fuel, it's about the tires, and I need new ones about every 15 laps.
Oh man.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because Jesper and I were talking about that in this one. It's, this race is really, the tires are going to wear out in terms of tread depth and in terms of heat, but they're not really going to fall off. And we were talking about taking no tires if it came down to a splash and go, which, with cautions and the way that falls, you never know. The number that you want to watch in here is 9 gallons. So the tire change takes 9 gallons worth of gas. Anything less than that, you save time with the gas and go.
I needed you giving me all these numbers when I was trying to drive this series a couple years ago.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was barely into iRacing at this point, and I was still trying to drive a cab. So there you go, right?
Or I'm sorry, a couple seasons ago.
Wasn't that good a couple of seasons ago?
Well, me neither. I was just out here. I was just on the track with these boys, hoping not to wreck them.
I'm still not good, so it's okay.
True story.
It's, to be fair, I mean, these cars more than any other, I call this car iRacing's Mirage, because it's extremely easy to drive at 9/10. That last tenth is incredibly elusive, and you have to really, really work at it. And I freely admit, I mean, I don't have the raw talent of a Chin or a Pinheiro or a Franzoni. Those guys, I just don't. It's not in me. So you better, for me, it's I got to practice and practice and practice and practice and prepare. I'm not going to be as fast, but I can out prepare you. We got Franzoni looking for the lead.
Yeah, Franzoni coming up on Chin here, Chris, and this is going to be a battle for the lead momentarily. And just an update on this latest pit stops. Adriano Pinheiro has worked his way up into the 6th spot. Chad Frankfield up to 7th. Del Porto there in 8th. Orman in 9th. So the tires are coming, and I think they're going to be mingling with these guys very, very soon.
Yeah, but if our calculations are correct, these guys are going to have to pit in probably the next 10 or 15 laps.
So Chin has about 25 laps older tires than Frangioni, Rexing, Flom, and Schuld. So Chin's going to have to bite first, and then the other 4 can still battle for a little bit longer.
Now, you're going to lose, in this race, you're going to lose about 2 laps worth of, you're going to lose about 2 laps. By the way, I am watching Adriano's in-car right now. He is not in a fuel save position.
So he's not even saving those 10 laps of fuel that he needs?
He's not saving them. Because I think he knows, if you're Pinheiro, I think he knows.
I mean, he'll have a shorter stop too, right? That's a big deal in these cars. You have to take on less fuel, a shorter stop. That could be huge, right?
It is, and the other part is less fuel changes the handling characteristics more than anything else. These cars are extremely sensitive to weight and center of pressure. So even though the fuel is in the middle of the car, the fuel tank is in between the is right behind the driver's butt. If you ever wanted to know that. But these cars are so sensitive to weight that if you hit, if you only have to take 9 gallons or something like that, and you get a fresh set of tires, it completely changes the handling of the car. The way these things are set up, there's a sweet spot in the setup, especially here. After about 10 laps, the thing really comes alive, and it is amazing until you get down to about the last 10 laps of fuel. There's a huge sweet spot there. Well, if I can start my run in the sweet spot with fresh tires, man, it's going to be a bullet. And so, you know, you consider that too, and you work these races backwards.
Ooh. Oh, that was really close right there. Sorry to interrupt. Rodrigo Frangioni and Bill Colley. Colley going a lap down. Frangioni nearly got into the left rear of Bill Colley. Colley clipped the outside wall, and now is falling back, getting passed by Jared Rexing. That could have been really bad for our second place car, Rodrigo Frangioni.
And you mentioned something there too, Mark, about working races backwards. Now you're getting close to my language there of a stock car guy, like a road course, you know? You want to pit when the window opens on a road course, and you know, because you know that it's likely not going to be a yellow, and you pit and try to make lap time.
Yeah, and Shin's doing that right now. I mean, he started in the back, so you know he's ahead of where he needs to be. And if this thing stays green, for another 124 laps, Shin's in the catbird seat. Now, what are the odds of this deal staying green for 124 more laps?
Not good based on what we've seen so far.
Well, you guys remember my deal at Indianapolis, right? I mean, I stayed out on a half tank, and Schultz and I just proceeded to drive away from everybody. And, you know, a lot of that's down to clean air, but we were light fuel, and we were having a good time. And I got Mark Jaynes to say my name and my sponsors, and that's a radio clip that'll be played forever in my household.
I said
right?
your name too, but it's okay.
Hey, Robert, you say a
Mark
lot
Jaynes,
of things
so
about
it's okay.
You say a lot of things about my name, but
Murph Markey, Mark Murphy.
Yeah, and you say his name a lot in the dark when the lights are off too, right?
No, look, I mean, we're looking at Chen making a pit stop here. I would guess
He's about 80 laps in to this run, so he's likely coming in the next couple laps.
Well, you've had how much yellow? So
that's true. So more like probably 65 laps on this run.
Yeah, you burn about a quarter of what you do under yellow as you do under green. So he's probably got, and he might have 10 more laps in that thing. He might. We'll know here. Chris is really good about letting people know when he's coming. For him, it's got to stay green through the rest of the cycle. That's like go back to what happened to me at Indianapolis. There was a yellow light in the middle of the cycle. It stayed green for 2 more cycles. I'd have been second behind Malechka.
Here he comes. Here we go. Josh
Yep.
Chen spitting right here.
Into pit road. Good entry there.
It absolutely was. It was a quick entry. One of the things that our listeners might note at Milwaukee, the pit entrance is very abrupt, and it's very abrupt. It's very narrow, and the pit speed limit line is at the pit wall. So you have to go from 165 miles an hour to 45 at the pit wall.
It's very tough because the entrance to pit road, you kind of have to turn left, and then you got to turn right to straighten it out, and then you got to hit your pit box. You also got to get it down to speed. There's a lot going on in such a short period of time.
Now something
and he's right behind the guy that's leading on the other strategy, so he's gonna come out right between Chad Frankenfield and Adriano here. So he's going to be able to see the pace that he needs to make.
He is, but he's also effectively a lap and a half down. So
he did have a good pit stop at 9.4 seconds, but it's all about that time getting on and off pit road that really affects you here. Somebody's coming to pit road. Chris Walker to pit road.
Yeah, you're looking at that. So everybody else that's on the track now can make it on 2 more stops. Right? Chen has to make 1 more. Right?
He just really needs it to stay green.
Yeah, Chin has to pray that there's not a yellow flag before lap 120.
As
Caution's
there's the
out.
caution, Jacob Weist in the outside wall.
Yep. And so
That
now,
is exactly what Josh Chin did not need.
oh, and it's unfortunate for Josh because that pretty much ends his day. Weist, looks like there was contact between him and the 23 of Bill Colley there. Looks like Bill just got in a little hot. Got him in the back.
Oh,
between
wow,
3 and
yeah.
4.
And again, these cars just love to shoot up to the outside wall here. That's so unfortunate for Josh Chin and, of course, for Jacob Weist as well, as the latest caution does come out here on lap 109. 115 laps to go here at Milwaukee.
But his bad luck has really great luck here for Rodrigo, Jared, Zachary, and Ryan. All were able to stay out, had not pitted yet. They're all going to pit here. I'm guessing probably everybody's going to come because this puts everybody in a window to make it on one more stop.
Adriano does stay out. Chad stays out. Orman stays out. Del Porto, Culpa, Davis, Alexander, they all do stay out.
That shows you how much I know right there. I said everybody's going to come.
all the guys that were on that strategy that they stopped on the last caution, they're not stopping they're only stopping one more time.
I think the thing, Chris, that's different in the open wheel cars compared to stock cars is these guys really stick to their strategies. If they come down early and that's their strategy, they want to go for the undercut, that's what they're going to do the whole race. That's not necessarily what we see on the stock car side. We also see a lot more wrecking on the stock car side, but
Well, hey, are you watching this tonight? They're going to give Bristol from last night a run for its money.
That's funny.
More laps.
I'll say this. These races are very strategic. And again, we have different stuff we can play with over here. So y'all don't have a fuel you don't have the fuel mix. If your car isn't handling right, you can't just,
You got to change how you're working the pedals. That's what you got to do in a stock car.
in an Indy car,
that's your fuel mix.
Yeah, in an Indy car.
That's your fuel mix too. Don't hit the pedal so hard. That's all you can do.
I mean, we do that too, but if your car's tight, for example, you gotta modify the way you're driving that baby. And in these things, I can hit a button and make it handle a little bit better. So, that's kind of that's the major difference. And everybody that's in this race at the front, the Pineros, the Frankenfields, Orman, Del Porto, all these guys are championship level drivers. Chris Chin is too, and so they know how to massage those settings to make the car perfect.
I have a teammate on the Cup side that always points out how many laps we can go, and we went to Darlington, and he pointed out it's Ryan Gavel. Ryan Gavel pointed out that we could have ran 82 laps on a fuel run. I said, "You go ahead. I'm going to pit about every 40 laps because I know my right front isn't going to go 80 laps the way I drive the race car."
I remember when I was a little boy, Southern 500.
I thought he was calling you a little boy, Chris.
Probably the early 90s, Harry Gant pulled that trick where, everybody was, because even then in the early 90s, guys would just go as long as they had fuel. The tires were a lot harder. A lot of the teams weren't as wealthy then, so unless you were Earnhardt or Richard Petty or you drove for Rick Hendrick, you're not getting a new set every time you want them. So them guys would stay out and do a lot of stuff. And Gant come in and short pitted under green. It was the first time I ever saw he short pitted under green and darn near won a Southern 500. It might have been 1990, 1991, something like that. Turned the old Skull Oldsmobile into a rocket ship.
Yeah,
he made up like 2 laps on Earnhardt and run second, I think.
Darlington is not a track you're going to run 80 laps on and get away with it. It just isn't.
No.
Them puppies will be melted.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't know if you guys do this or not. But we'll actually, on the open wheel side, map that out.
Map what out?
We'll map out tire deg. So I'll know in this car, I'll know the exact lap that I need to pit.
You know what our map out is? It's killed. I need a new one. That's about it.
That's exactly it.
This baby don't drive so good no more. I need me a new set of.
Once the iRacing spotter's like, keep it easy on your right front tire, then you know that it's like it's time to come down.
By then, it's already too late. You already know it's killed.
Oh man, I think it was last time out in the Cup Series, I blew 2 right front tires, and everyone else was like, "How'd you do it?" I don't know. Like, I'm just driving. As we are under green again, by the way. Adriano Pinero, Chad Frankenfield, Jesper Orman, Victor Del Porto, Colin Culpa, the top 5. Butch Davis, Seb Alexander, Chad Simpson, Beto Sousa, and Kevin Burrell, the top 10.
Absolutely, and here's the thing now. So Josh Chen, I've got a brother-in-law named Chris Chen, but Josh is, so I keep wanting to call him Chris. Josh is trapped a lap down in 20th from his undercut strategy there, or extreme overcut, whichever way you want to look at it. We're watching some crazy Dyson back through the field. Though Zachary Flum right now is driving like an absolute madman. He just made it 3 wide on the bottom, had the nose of the car up on the rumble strip between 1 and 2 and passed like 4 or 5 cars. That baby's going to the front. He's working over Jared Rexing now.
Yeah, those boys back there, about 10th to 15th or so, they're getting after it.
Yeah, they're definitely getting after it throughout the field. Alan Stover is back in a Hornet's Nest. Looks like Craig Forsyth down there. Don Hunter as well. Actually, that's Michael Hosick, not Craig Forsyth. So Hosick, Stover, and Hunter all under a blanket. Just ahead of them is the Craig Forsyth machine. So lots of cars in a very tiny area.
And these guys are really getting after it. And the reason you see that is, you look at the times. Look at the times: 11, 10, 9 seconds back. Craig Forsyth 9.5 seconds back. Them cats are already half a lap down. And the worst thing that'll happen, worst thing can happen to you here is you go a lap down. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen to you. Because you're trapped. And essentially with the way the strategy is, on a big oval like Indianapolis, everybody's going to pit every time because the fuel situation here, these guys aren't going to pit unless it's in the window. And so you're essentially, if you're Josh Chen, you're essentially trapped. And you're trapped for the rest of the race unless something crazy happens.
And it's definitely going to be tough. Chin's trying to work his way up through the field, but that's a long way to go to get up to the front. He's a straightaway and a bit back from the race leader, Adriano Pinero. And if he can find his way up there and get by Pinero, which would be a miracle at this point with the way that Adriano's been running and getting through everyone else, then Josh Chin's okay. But I think at this point, he's, like you said, Mark, he's trapped.
Yeah, he's trapped. He's gonna need something wild and crazy to happen. I think them boys up front that stopped at lap 74, if they can make it 81 laps, which I don't think is that big of an ask with a yellow, if they can make it 81 laps, they're gonna be in good shape here. I'm gonna take a quick break and I will return. How's that, guys?
All right. As Mark Murphy, one of the drivers here in the field tonight, unfortunately out early, going to finish in P29. Chris, looking through the field, I see a nice battle here. Colin Culpa, Seb Alexander, Chad Simpson, all together. That is positions numbers 6 through 8.
Yeah, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Mark
as well.
there. Mark coming up here and joining us in the booth. I didn't ask him to. As far as I know, you didn't ask. He just came up here and he knows, I don't know much about these cars and the strategies and the games. Obviously, if you've been listening, I've proven to you that I don't know much about what's going on with these cautions and the strategies and when to pit and when not to pit. I can't speak for Robert here, but it's great to have somebody come in who understands what they're doing, understands the strategies that these guys are on, and can kind of break that down way better than I can.
Yeah, 100%. It was great to have Mark up here, and he'll stick around with us for a little bit longer, hopefully till the end of the race. I do want to give a shout out though to Brant Johnson. He is out of the race, unfortunately, at this point, but he sent a bit of a note on his livery. So his livery that he's running on his machine is the Sand Groper, which is an insect local to his area, and Western Australians are apparently called sand gropers by the rest of Australia, so interesting fact there. And he's also running the Man Up for Prostate Cancer sticker on his car for one of his mates who's currently fighting cancer and trying to bring some awareness to the disease and making sure that people go and get checked for prostate cancer. So shout out to Brant for that. And of course, folks, like Brant said, get out, get checked, and it could save your life.
Yeah, and back to the on-track product here. We've still got that battle. Everybody kind of running on top of each other. Adriano is still the leader, about 2 seconds over Chad Frankenfield right now.
Yeah, Adriano out front by about 2 seconds over Chad. Jesper about 0.7 of a second behind the Frankenfield machine. He's going to have to get by the lap car. I believe that is Bill Colley. Colley going another lap down. Del Porto there in fourth with a gap over Davis. Davis has a gap over Culpa, who now has a gap over Alexander, who's side by side with Joshua Chin. Chin has worked his way up to the 7th place lead lap car, trying to get by him. Doesn't
and
look
so
like
one
he's gonna be
benefit
able
for
to
Chin
there.
here. Well, one thing that could be a benefit, I do know enough about open wheel to know this. He was able to restart up there in front of all the guys who pitted. So a lot of at some point, these guys in front of him are going to pit, and he's going to be able to run about 25 or 30 laps further. And if they catch a caution in that window, he'll be able to be back on the lead lap. Obviously, he'll have lost all the track position from where he was in the lead when he was on this strategy and when he decided to pit. But there is a path that is relatively a simple path for him to get back to the lead lap and try to fight back to the top 10.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can make it back there. It's going to be hard, Chris. I think you know that, and I know that as
it's
well.
going to take a perfectly timed caution in a 30-lap window.
It's
That's
basically
what
a miracle, and just so you folks know, we are under 100 laps to go. Now 92 laps remaining here in the IndyCar1909.com, IndyCar1909.com 225 here at the Milwaukee Mile. With just 92 laps remaining, Adriano Pinheiro has been flawless. Nobody's really been able to keep up with the Pinheiro machine at all. Chad's been close on a couple restarts, but other than that, Adriano's really been able to take away any sort of a run, and he's just done a fantastic job here.
Yeah, and they are about 20 laps from 155, which is where Mark pointed out that they needed to get to. So we will see if they are able to get to that 155 mark and get there, and maybe Chad has to save a little more fuel because he's all of a sudden giving up some extra time here. Adriano, I don't believe there's any fuel save in that machine.
Doesn't look like it, does it?
If he's fuel saving running that pace, man, I'd be scared to death of what he can do if he didn't have to fuel save.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see throughout the remainder of this race how it progresses and kind of what the call is when it comes to any sort of pit stop, because you know there's going to be another pit stop at some point. 89 laps to go. Mark mentioned, I think it was 125, Chris?
155.
155, yeah. So we are 15 laps or so away from that at this point. I'm not good at math.
That sounds about. We're just about
17 laps. 17 laps until 155. There we go. That's the math here. Unfortunately, Dave's not here to be our calculator
Mark was
tonight.
giving us way too much credit about us breaking down fuel numbers in stock cars. We just don't think
Chris,
that much about
I
it.
use an app. I wasn't lying about that. My app tells me how much fuel to take, and I just take it.
Yeah, I don't use an app. I just know based on tires. That's everything in the stock car world is based on tires because you can drive from 20th to the
That's
lead.
it. I mean, for
3
me,
laps.
for me, I don't think I ever get a fuel run unless it's a super speedway or a short track. That's about it. As Adriano Pinheiro continues to work his way through the field, gets by another lap car here. Robert Smith falling back in a position. He's battling with Bill Colley for position number 21. So although they are a lap down, those cars are battling for position. Michael Bohr not too far ahead in position number 20, while Josh Chin has worked his way up, continues to work his way up through the field, trying to unlap himself the hard way. Goes by Adriano goes by another lap car here, puts another car an additional lap down. I didn't catch a car number on that machine, but I do believe that to be the Michael Bourne machine. Yes, it is. Bourne goes another lap down as Pinero leads the way over Frankenfield, Orman, Del Porto, Davis, Culpa, Alexander, Simpson, Sousa, Burrell, the top 10, Frangioni, Rexing, Schuld, Blom, and Forsyth, the top 15, and the remaining cars on the lead lap, Michael Hossack, Alan Stover, and Don Hunter. Joshua Chin, the first car, 1 lap down, and the rest of the cars on the racetrack now are Michael Bourne, Robert Smith, Bill Colley, and Chris Walker. So we started 34 and 34, and we have 23 left on the racetrack at this point.
Yeah, and we're getting closer and closer to that fuel window. We're about 10, 12 laps away here from what we were told is the number that these guys are looking for. So I think if we'll be able to tell if these guys saved enough fuel, or maybe they saved half of it this run, can save a little bit more next run. See exactly how close they can get this run right here. And I believe they did have the aid of what 2 yellows after they pitted there?
Yeah, I do believe about 2 yellows. You're correct on that, Chris.
Ooh, looking back here, I just was able to look back. 1 yellow. They've had the aid of. They only had 1 caution.
We were both wrong then.
So just 1 caution between now and when they last pitted. And Mark kind of seemed to think initially that it would take 3.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out here. And Chris, 80 laps remaining in the event. We're going to take a commercial break as things have seemed to calm down a little bit. And when I say that, we'll probably come back to a pileup. But we'll be back in about 2 minutes' time here on the Elite Racing Network. You're watching the IndyCar1909.com 225 here at the Milwaukee Mile. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing
And we are back here in the IndyCar1909.com 225 here at the Milwaukee Mile. You just heard from TA Services, one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League, alongside Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan, but the pit wall is not Adriano's. Is Adriano? He's out of this. He has torn up that race car, Chris. Wow. Adriano Pinheiro into the pit wall. Let's see how long he's on pit road. See if he's able to recover. He is, Chris. He didn't really stay on pit road much longer than a regular pit stop. I think he might have escaped catastrophic damage there. Just an update, Pinheiro did come to pit road. Del Porto and Frankenfield also came down pit road. Rodrigo Frangioni and Jared Rexing leading the way at this point. But back to our sponsor reads here quickly. Of course, got to pay some bills if we want to keep going here. Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Alongside Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval hosting NASCAR this weekend, as well as a 2-mile infield road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today and, of course, this weekend. Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check out warriorsforpeace.org. Warriors, the number 4, peace.org for more information. And, of course, tonight's sponsor, IndyCar1909.com. IndyCar past, present, and future. What is going on this racetrack? I step away for 1 minute to pay some bills, and Chad Rex and Adriano Rex and
this has picked up. And Adriano, like you said, somehow Adriano is only about 2 seconds behind this battle. He destroyed those pit barrels.
So I accidentally had Chris muted on the broadcast, but Adriano hit the pit barrels, and that didn't go very well. And then Chad got into Jesper Orman, and that didn't go well. But
yes,
they're continuing on here, Mark.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun right there. In the midst of that pit cycle, in the midst of the pit cycle, Adriano Pinheiro, who has dominated this race and really dominated all week at Milwaukee in the official races, locked the rear brakes getting on pit road, spun it, hit the pit wall. He is back out on the track, but he is about a second. He is about a second behind Chad, and he's about a second.
Which is incredible. Chad. As bad as he hit those walls, and as bad as he spun out, and to only be about a second.
Yellow, we got a
caution,
yellow.
Bill Colley.
Okay, now this changes everything again.
This is a bit of a savior for those guys that may have picked up some damage, so they can come and get that fixed. But Bill Colley, the culprit of your latest incident.
You know who this helps right here? We talked about he needed the yellow.
Colley got hooked right there. Was that? Who was that? Trying to back this up a little bit further, folks. Bill Colley got sent on the racetrack.
Ryan Schold,
the number 4 machine, your third place car, involved in that incident. Am I seeing this correctly? That Joshua Chin is being scored on the lead lap?
Exactly. He got the caution that he needed when those guys in front of him pitted, and that worked out great for him. He needed a caution in that 30-lap window, and he got one right smack dab in the middle of it.
And
yes, he did. And
scored 13th.
Right, but now, so here's the thing. Rodrigo, Schulte, Flaum, Forsyth, Hossack, Stover, Hunter, they're all pitting. So this is going to cycle Jared Rexing to the lead, who Jared is now gambling on fuel big time, by the way.
I think Jared likes to gamble.
He's rolling the dice. Chad, Jesper, Del Porto, Pinheiro, and Chin. Well, no, now Chin and Del Porto are going to pit. So the only other car on the lead lap right now is Chad Simpson, and I believe that car might be a little bit broken. You're also going to have a ton of guys, Seb Alexander, Butch Davis, Colin Coppola, Kevin Burrell, those guys that pitted it anywhere between 145 and 153 that were going to be short. Them boys are now cheering because they can make it.
This is going to be interesting, and like you mentioned, Mark, the top 10 has really shuffled here. I think Jared might come to pit road here. No, he's going to stay out. Okay, so top 10 as they run. Jared Rexing, Chad Frankenfield, Jesper Orman, Rodrigo Frangioni, and Adriano Pinero, the top 5. Zachary Flom in 6th, Craig Forsyth in 7th, Michael Hossack in 8th, Alan Stover 9th, and Don Hunter in the 10th position. And I just want to say right now, there's 2 Canadians in the top 10, which is pretty cool. But there are 4 countries represented in the top 10 as we run. That is really darn cool to see.
I tell you, Mark, this guy and his Canadian references, every week he picks a Canadian to win the race. There's some real bias going on.
I did pick a Canadian to win tonight, and he's in the 8th position right now.
I tell you what, he can take the Canadians and all the geese too, man.
Oh my God, those poop everywhere.
They are without a doubt that we've got them all over here in Mishawaka. They are without a doubt the bane of my existence.
In where?
Mishawaka, Indiana. So South Bend.
You're gonna spell that out now.
Just like it sounds. Just like it sounds.
It does. It sounds like you put letters in a dishwasher and.
Hey, that's where Adam Driver was from.
That's right.
It's for.
That's right.
What did you just say, Dave?
The guy that
That's
drove
where
the
Adam
pace car
Driver's
for
from.
500. Yeah.
He threw the green flag.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's right.
Of course.
That's right. Our fine mayor, Mayor Dave Wood, was awfully proud. He was mighty proud of that.
Can you guys name an Adam Driver movie?
I don't even know who Adam Driver is.
He was the guy that waved the flag.
Yeah,
That's where I know him from.
He's Kylo Ren.
Dave's the winner right there, Kylo Ren. Star Wars.
Okay,
Kylo
I've never
Wars.
seen a single Star Wars thing
Oh
in my
my,
life.
Robert, you got to come over this weekend and we'll watch all of them. Come on.
Absolutely
See,
not.
I'll get Nick Massey to come down too. We love Star Wars, man.
My 6-year-old would know that. Right?
He's also in Lucky Logan, right? And that's a NASCAR movie.
I have no idea.
I've
bro.
never heard of that. Who's
They
Logan and why
steal
is he
the
so
money
lucky?
from. They
Is he
steal the money
instru-
from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Did he get a waiver
in-
for the playoffs too?
Is
Oh,
he
Jared
in
Rex in the
stroker?
pit road.
Yeah, he's got to give that up. He just wanted to lead some laps. So that's going to cycle Chad up to the lead. Jesper on his tail. Rodrigo,
That'll
then
put
Adrian
Ryan
out of the two Red King
Schuld
cars.
back in the
Now,
top 10.
I want to point out one thing here before we go green. First of all, I'm going to give a shout out to Dave. Dave does a lot of stuff for Elite Racing Network, and we haven't shouted him out, and he's in here tonight. So,
Yeah, go
Dave,
Dave.
we appreciate everything you do for us. You keep me and Robert in line, and I know that's no easy task.
Especially you.
Hey, that's right.
qualifies
Sometimes
me for
I'll
saying
say,
it.
You got no filter.
that's right, no filter here for me. It's more fun that way, though. You never know what's coming. But second here, our first and second place car. Now, Chad and Jasper, they were not happy with the way they were racing each other there before this caution came out.
As we are green once again, the IndyCar1909.com 225. Chad Frankfield out front of Jesper Orman, Rodrigo Frangioni, Adriano Pinero, and Zachary Flom, the top 5. First time Pinero has not been out front on one of these restarts, as now he
But he's
looks
going
to
for
the
third.
inside of Frangioni already. A battle of the Bread Kings here, and the Orange Bread King wins out over the Black and Red one, as now Pinero up to the 3rd spot, chasing down Frankenfield. Frankenfield's been top 2 most of the night tonight, and now finds himself out front. Jesper Orman as well has done a phenomenal job all evening long, been top 3, top 4, and now he's going to have to hold off a hard-charging Adriano Pinero here, which is never an easy task, with 55 laps to go at the line.
A hard charging, a frustrated, and somebody who feels like they've got to drive themselves out of a hole they dug for themselves. Adriano is going to be a man on a mission here.
That's exactly because Adriano, just before everyone else jumps back in, he had an extended pit stop because of that contact with the pit wall, slow entry into the pits because he was kind of stuck on the wall, and then he spent an extra 3.5 seconds in his box. If you eliminate that 3.5 seconds, Adriano's out front, and he's leading the race, and he's probably running away from Chad Frankfield at this point. Now he's playing catch-up with just over 50 laps to go.
Right now, Adriano's not really able to get any closer to these front two, who are still separated by about the same gap that they have been since the restart here, about half a second.
I'm interested in seeing the ascension through the field by Joshua Chin as he gets by Don Hunter, moves up into the 11th spot. Chin just outside the top 10 now. I'm thinking he gets up to around the 5th place position by the end of this race.
That'd be tough to do. I don't know. It's been pretty hard to pass.
I think
but we'll
his
see.
car has less damage than some of these cars ahead of him. Schultz been in a couple incidents. Hossack, I believe, was in one as well. Stover and Forsyth, I know, were both in an incident as well. So it'll be
Speaking
interesting
of
to
Stover, he's side by side. That battle is on right there.
Yes, Stover currently chasing down, or actually trying to pull away from the Michael Hossack machine. Hossack on the inside, Stover on the high side. Just behind them is Schultz and Del Porto. They're chasing down Craig Forsyth. So Canadians currently running in the 6th and 8th position with a bit of Alan Stover in the middle. Here comes Schultz. He was involved in the last incident on the racetrack. He's going to look for an opportunity to get by as well. Hossack continues on the bottom. Stover continues to rip the high side, trying to get around the racetrack. Hossack does go down to the yellow rumble strips here, which
here we go. We're going Chad wide in 3.
Did you just say Chad wide? Here
I said Chad wide.
Del Porto to the inside. Whoa. Del Porto's car just did a bit of a kickflip on the racetrack. He does get by Michael Hossack now, chasing down Ryan Schultz. I cannot believe you just said that.
That is by far one of the funniest things that I've ever heard on an Elite Racing Network broadcast. We're watching Victor Del Porto go high, he's going low. He is running some really unique lines, trying to any which way he can to get around Ryan Schultz, and that's for 8th and 9th spot. These guys are, and Victor just waited really deep, and he's coming back, and he just missed him. Ryan gave him a lot of room, right? A lot of room. That's the same move that took me out. We've got smoke in 3. Somebody's been
I just saw
around.
that too. I'm not sure what happened there. We do stay green. Nobody's been passed, so I wonder if someone just locked it up really hard. Del Porto getting really close to Schultz here though, in the middle of 1 and 2.
Let me tell you something about that. Let me tell you something about a high line real quick that Schultz running, right? So you can get down on that bottom groove, but if you can't run wide on exit, you are going to get super, super loose. There's a dip.
Oh, Victor took a look there and drove across the curb. I wasn't sure if he's going to be able to catch that.
I'll talk about that in a minute too. There's a dip out in turns 3 and 4 because the Milwaukee Mile, if you guys recall, is actually older than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So while it looks nice and flat on TV, maybe has a little bit of banking, in reality, there is a large dip at the exit of 3 and 4, and if you catch that wrong, you are going to spin the car. And the only way to catch it wrong is to be under somebody, so you got to be really careful of that. The reason that Victor is hitting the curbs like he is in 1 and 2 is because you're actually using that to de-wedge the car and make it turn.
I don't know. I'd be scared that I was going to de-wedge it one time and it would really turn.
I mean, these guys know these cars a lot better than we do, Chris, and I think anything you can do to help that rotation, or as Mark says, de-wedge the car, I think you're going to do it, especially when you're battling closely like this, as we've seen with Del Porto and Schultz.
The telemetry says that you're adding about 200 pounds of right rear spring when you hit it like that, and there's actually, again, on TV, it looks like just a half moon. You know what I mean? It looks like a half circle. There's actually in turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4 are that way, but 1 and 2, the way the pit exit is, it kind of juts out a little bit. There's almost an angle, and so if you're really wanting to make your car turn, you can drive it down in there like Victor was doing, hit that just right, and if you hit that angle just right, it's almost like somebody lit the fuse and shot you off the corner straight. It's an amazing trick, but if you hit it wrong, you're going for a ride.
It's definitely interesting, and now that I'm thinking about it too, I've kind of used that same line through these corners in a truck at Milwaukee.
Oh, we got a spinner in 1.
Yeah,
we got a wreck.
We got to wait a caution.
You're Rexing around high into the outside wall, and he nearly comes down the racetrack. Right front tire is broken on that Nesquik machine. It's not 2 Nesquik no more. As we watch the Rexing machine, I believe he went to the inside of Bill Cawley, sends it off into the corner, and he just dove in way too hard, and the car did
Way
not
shallow,
stick.
too. Way shallow down in there.
Jared
Bill had gave him
Rexing
plenty of
done
room there.
for the night, most likely. But one thing I was going to point out just before Rexing decided to interrupt me rudely there, Chad Frankenfield was lapping about 1/10 of a second quicker than Adriano Pinero. I think Pinero's really struggling with the damage he has on that machine, as he was not really able to close any gap at all. Victor Del Porto, folks, is coming down pit road. He is the only taker from the top 10. Next car to come down pit road does appear to be Kevin Burrell, Beto Sousa, and of course the aforementioned Jared Rexing with just 39 laps to go here. I think things are going to pick up a little bit more. You're going to see some tighter battles between the leaders, Frankenfield, Orman, and potentially Pinero if his car will handle it. Frangione's up there as well, as is Zachary Flom, Craig Forsyth, Alan Stover, Ryan Shull, Michael Hossack, and Seb Alexander. The top 10 now: Josh Chin, Chad Simpson, Don Hunter, Butch Davis, Colin Culpa, Victor Del Porto, Kevin Burrell, and Beto Sousa, the lead lap cars at this point. And still running in the race, Michael Bourne, Jared Rexing to be determined on that car, Robert Smith, Chris Walker, and I do believe the only other car running is Bill Cawley. So we have about 22 cars left in this race, 18 on the lead lap, and we did start 34 tonight.
It's been, I feel like, a super different open wheel race than I'm used to. I'm used to seeing a lot of these races go without a caution or with, very few cautions. This is something a little different. I jokingly said earlier they're going to get Bristol in for their money, but they've got to be getting close to our caution count from last night.
Definitely quite a few cautions here tonight, Chris. And just as we are under caution here, we're going to take our final commercial break. And when we come back, we'll take you to the finish here of the IndyCar 1909.com 225 at the Milwaukee Mile. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here in the IndyCar 1909.com 225 at the Milwaukee Mile. You just heard from TA Services as well as iRacing.com. We also have to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois is home to a 1.25 mile oval, a 2-mile road course, a quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And of course, our series sponsor, Warriors for Peace, is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check out warriorsforpeace.org for more information. And tonight's sponsor, IndyCar1909.com. That is IndyCar1909.com. IndyCar past, present, and future. As we go back down to the racetrack, we are green once again. Chad Frankenfield leading the way over Jesper Orman.
Side by side for second.
Yeah, Jesper got a piece full of dirty.
As we are under caution once again, Ryan Schold, the culprit this time by, I believe that is his second incident of the night.
Contact
Little Eagle getting the wings clipped again here on the racetrack. Yeah, Schold unfortunately does get hit by, I do believe that was the Alan Stover machine. Stover slides up into the side of Ryan Schold. Schold goes around, and he will receive damage on that number 4 machine. Another Little Eagle car involved in an incident tonight. Very unfortunate, Chris, Mark. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it looks like what happened here was Alan took a really late dive here, but Schold left a lot of bottom there, enough to where I wouldn't say the dive bomb caused the wreck. They made it most of the way through the corner, and then as Ryan started coming down to try to pinch him a little bit, maybe a little frustrated with the move, even though it looked like it was going to work, they came together, wheel-to-wheel contact, and ultimately Schold paid the price. And Schold gets hit as well here, too, from Chris Walker. Kind of comes through and hits him.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate there. And just to kind of reset where things stand with 32 to go, we'll be about just under 30 when we go green once again. Chad Frankenfield, your race leader. Jesper Orman in second. Adriano Pinero in third. Rodrigo Frangioni there in fourth, with Zachary Flom rounding out the top 5. Craig Forsyth in sixth. Alan Stover 7th. Seb Alexander in 8th. Michael Hossack in 9th. Joshua Chin went from a lap down back to the top 10. Currently in the 10th position. Chad Simpson, Don Hunter, Butch Davis, Colin Culpa, and Victor Del Porto, the top 15. The lights are still on the iRacing.com pace car. The driver of that pace car tonight is our very own Dave Huckleberry. Huck out there putting some laps in, trying to practice, and just getting some laps in for the Huckleberry family tonight. Ryan had some issues early on tonight, and unfortunately sent him back to the hauler, but we hope to have him back out next week for what will count as his season debut, Chris.
Yeah, they had some problems there with the machine tonight. Hopefully they get it all worked out and get everything fixed up for next week.
I think Dave just didn't tighten up all the bolts and stuff, and it just made Ryan's machine not want to go, and just
a new cable has been procured.
There we go. A new table has been procured.
The crew chief mother brought one home. So
Fantastic.
And now it's up to crew chief dad to put it together, right?
Not my job.
It is the
Dave.
job of Dave to do that table, as per Mrs. Dave.
He's a little IT prodigy guy, so he's a chip off the old block, so he can handle that part.
You know, at least he's not a Buffalo Bills fan and isn't going to throw himself through the table.
Dave, did you say a table or cable?
Table.
Cable. The cable that connects the PC to the pedals.
Yeah, hopefully he's not throwing himself through the cable either. And by the way, folks, from race control lap 192, contact between the 29 of Alan Stover and the 4 of Ryan Schold. Tally issued to the 29, of Alan Stover. Schold, if you're listening, just ignore me. You did not just get a tally. It was Alan Stover that picked up that tally.
So what I was going to say about that incident is there's two distinct driving cultures in these cars. You have people like me who, Jesper's like this, Craig Forsyth, most of the front runners, Josh Chin, Adriano, who we're going to give guys room and we're going to anticipate moves. And then you have guys who are going to throw the car down as deep as it can go and hope it sticks. That move, while there was room there to begin with, I would have known intrinsically that there wasn't going to be room to end it with. And Alan Stover, while he was there, he didn't have room at the end. And we see Chad; those boys are getting ready to rumble up front. Chad's going to lead him down the back here. Jesper, Adriano hot on his tail. I was talking to Chad. His whole deal right now is he wants to get out ahead, get the drop on him, and lead the first lap. And he feels like if he can lead the first lap, he can hold him off. He's going to have to do it for 28 laps. And those are some strong customers behind him.
Green flag back in the air for the IndyCar1909.com. 225 at the Milwaukee Mile. Chad Frankfield out front over Jesper Orman. He's building the gap already as Orman right in the middle of Pinheiro and Frankenfield. Pinheiro trying to work his way back up. Orman trying to close the gap on Frankenfield. I think he dove a little bit too hard there into turn number 3. Falls back a little bit. Chad
we got
pulling away.
Got a
Caution
yellow.
back out. Chris Walker involved in this one. He goes around, rear wing hanging off of that machine. Take a look on the Robilus.com replay machine that you folks can't see. But thanks, Mark, for your replays.
Robert Smith here.
Yeah, Robert Smith dives in too deep into turn number 3. Gets into Chris Walker, sends Chris Walker up into the outside fence. What this is doing is really limiting the amount of laps that Chad's going to have to hold off the field. And that's going to make it really, really interesting. It's not giving Adriano an opportunity to try to work his way up. It's not giving Josh Chin a chance to drive through the top 10 up towards the front. And Chad's really just going to be able to do his thing.
Do you have a number on cautions tonight, Robert?
Here's the other thing that this is doing. Okay, so Chad and them guys, they stopped at 154, but we haven't had a long green flag stretch since that. And so what this is doing is keeping those Firestones nice and cool on those Delaras. That does two things. One, now that they've been heat cycled, they're not really worn out. They're going to be very fast for an entire stint. Two, burned off some fuel, and so the handling is right in that sweet spot that I talked about earlier. The last thing that's going to do is, since the tires are cooled off and the handling is in the sweet spot, it's going to make the dirty air behind Chad a lot less of a factor than it normally would be. The dirty air effect multiplies as the tires get hotter. Well, the tires aren't going to be hot, and they're not going to get hot now. With 23 laps left in this race when we go green, Chad, Jesper, Adriano, they're going to have the maximum amount of grip that they can have.
Yeah, I guess that is a big thing about these cars. The further into the pack you get, the more dirty air you have on the nose of the car, which can really upset your vehicle as you try to work your way through. And like you said, Chad, Jesper, and Adriano with a great advantage being up front.
Absolutely. The other thing is you now have all the fuel you want. So those guys that stopped at 154, you got Chad, Jesper, and Adriano that all stopped at that 154, 155 marker. Them guys maybe needed a caution or two to go full rich. They can now go full gas. They can run as much fuel as they want. The question is now, do you want to? Earlier, the more fuel you run, the more horsepower goes to the rear wheels, and that's why a lot of these guys are spinning out coming off the corner. If you're Chad, do you dare turn it up, right? Ryan Schultz and I were talking about this. Our fastest laps here came in fuel position 3, which is actually medium lean. Saving fuel can actually be faster than turning it up and going. The other part of that is you can move that fuel switch. You can move that fuel switch while you're on the straightaway. So you might see Chad lean it out in the corners and then hit the button and go back to full rich as soon as he's on the straightaway, and then lean it out again so he doesn't spin out coming off.
Chris, isn't that how you describe yourself, medium lean?
Medium lean? I do not describe myself as medium lean.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
That move, to go back to that accident, that move from Stover on Schold, that's almost exactly what caused the big one that took so many of us out early on. Right? Guy drives it in too deep, can't make it stick, slides up the track, and boom.
Mark, why don't you tell us how you're feeling about that earlier incident?
I have no comment. Everybody in the Elite Racing League is a top-notch driver. Everything is awesome.
That sounds almost rehearsed there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's scripted at the Little Eagle Racing Factory.
I actually have a Racer Magazine, Everything is Awesome t-shirt from Robin Miller.
Great.
If you can believe
Perfect.
that.
I heard from a source that you were ready to throw hands. That's all I'm going to say.
I think he was trying to throw hands with you, Chris.
You know, that's one thing that we don't have to worry about here in the sim world is, you don't have to worry about somebody meeting you out by your trailer.
Oh, now wait a minute. I live right down the road from Josh Adams and Jake Adams. We get mad enough at each other, we'll go somewhere and meet and throw hands. We'll do it.
As we're going to get going green here again, Chad trying not to throw hands.
I want to see that on Twitch, by the way.
Absolutely. Green flag back in the air in the IndyCar 1909.com 225 at Milwaukee Mile.
Chad left that restart way, way, way late. Got the drop on Jesper. Jesper's falling in the clutch as a...
Jesper clipped the outside wall there.
Yes, he did, and that's going to open the door for Adriano down on the bottom.
I think Jesper's got some kind of damage there. He looked really tight down in the 3 after he hit that wall.
Well, now he's fighting back now on the outside. He's fighting back on the outside. You can roll that top. You might not be able to pass anybody up there, but you can sure as shoot hold somebody up and keep him pinched. But Adriano does clear him. Now you got Pinheiro. He's going to be chasing down Chad. He's about a second behind him. He's got 20 laps to do it.
If I'm Chad, I love what I'm seeing behind me with these guys battling, because this is an opportunity for me to pull away from these guys. Pinheiro just ahead of...
I don't love it now. I loved it. I loved it when Pinheiro was getting held up.
Pinheiro was held up, but yeah, exactly. Pinheiro now freed from that battle. Adriano still has damage from hitting the pit wall. So don't forget that. 19 laps to go now.
There's yellow.
And Milwaukee, we are under caution again. I believe Colin Culpa involved in this one potentially.
Victor Del Porto apologizing there.
Oh, Victor gets into the back of Butch Davis there. Oh, Speed Racer might have just dodged another one. Wow.
Love that you're calling him Speed. Oh, yeah, Del Porto. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a great dodge. What just happened right there? Beto Sousa's absolutely annihilated.
Oh, yeah, he gets hit back there by some other car. I was so caught up in watching Speed Racer get through there.
I'm going to back this up here. Beto somehow ended up... Oh, he was... Is this a separate incident?
No, they came through off the corner and they hit him. Michael Bourne and Beto come through. He's rolling down the track.
Oh, my gosh.
And they both just destroy. All 3 cars end up destroyed
Folks,
here.
Beto's car is absolutely destroyed. When I say there's no front end, I'm not talking about the front wing. I'm talking about the whole front end. There is no nose. There is no tires. There is nothing on the front of that machine.
So something that I kind of want to allude to here real quick, because Chad just called the message over the radio. These guys that, and here's the reason I'm not really upset about what happened. In the Elite Rulebook, there is a penalty system, and guys that are causing these accidents, there are several that are going to be facing a race vacation here shortly. Today, but for
I don't like vacation unless it involves the beach. So I took one race vacation from the Cup Series earlier this season, and it wasn't very fun.
I'm going to tell you this, Robert. I'm going to tell you this, man. My first televised podium was at Twin Ring Motegi on Raceverse, and I gave the interview and I said, well, I won't see y'all next week. I'll be on a boat in the middle of the ocean because I was taking my wife on a cruise. Watched the race while I was on the cruise, right? Because we had the internet connection on the boat. So we watched the broadcast, and all they talked about was that I wasn't there, that I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean. I got back, run on the podium the next week, and they said, hey, he's back from a boat in the middle of the ocean. It was great. So maybe a week off might do me some good, but no, that is a system here in the Elite Racing League. If you've noticed, a lot of the tallies have been on the same guys for the first 4 races. That'll catch up with you eventually.
Now, you took a different boat back, right? Because the Titanic sank, so you had to get off that boat, correct?
I don't think Mark's that old. Come on now, Chris.
I left on the Titanic, but I arrived on the Carpathia.
That's right.
As long as your boat didn't get stuck in the Suez Canal, you're all right.
Well, they didn't let me drive it.
Oh, good. Okay.
They should have.
And if
but
they let
didn't.
Chris drive it, it would be sank to the ocean very quickly.
I don't go to the ocean. My vacation, I'm going to a racetrack on a vacation.
Man,
That's
Chris,
it.
I'm gonna
Chris
tell.
don't go to
I'm
the
gonna
beach
tell.
either.
I go
I'm
to the
gonna tell-
Darlington, and it's throwing sand in my face. That's as close as I get to the beach right there.
I'm gonna tell you all this now, man. There's a whole reason why I grew up on the river and don't have a boat. And the reason that I grew up on the river and don't have a boat, if my dad is listening, he knows exactly why. If we would have been allowed to buy a boat, we would have come home with a Miss Budweiser.
It's funny.
So we had a swimming pool, but we always had to go out on our friends' boats. And we're looking here. We got lights out on a pace car. I think Chad at this point is drafting the pace car. He wants this baby to be over with.
This will be the first time that he's had Adriano behind him. We'll see what happens.
This is going to get interesting because although Adriano does have that damage, I still think he's going to try to go full send into one of these corners. And
I'm going to tell you this, man. There is an Adriano factor, okay? There is an Adriano factor, and I'm not gonna, at least for me, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I battled that guy for 6 months across 2 seasons in official fixed. I wound up on top in the championship both times, but it is unnerving to see him behind you, because you know, I mean, you don't get an 8,000 I rating for nothing. You know he is quick, and you know he's probably quicker than you are.
Yeah, Chris, you know that. You have an 8,000 I rating, don't you?
No.
Maybe 800. As the green flag is in hand for Barney the Flag Man. Chad Frankenfield off of turn number 4. Green flag. We're back underway here at the Milwaukee Mile. Adriano Pinero trying to chase down Chad Frankenfield while holding off Jesper Orman, Rodrigo Frangioni, and Zachary Flom up there in the top 5.
Yeah, and so I think what's going to happen here is Adriano takes a much more drastic cut coming off the top to get to the bottom, and I think he's going to try to use that to build a run. He's going to back up the top. He's going to back up on the top, shoot that car to the bottom, and try to get a run off, get the slipstream on one of the straightaways, and throw it in on Chad into one of the corners. He's not close enough to do it, though. Chad's a half a second ahead and pulling away a little bit here.
Yeah, he's going to have to get quite a bit closer. I think like what Robert said there, that damage has probably tightened him up just a little bit. I think if he had to clean air, he'd be able to go.
Chad just ran the quickest lap of the race, 21.87 last time by.
Now, what did I say about that, boys? Right? Tires are cooled off. The fuel tank's empty. When you cool the tires off on this Dallara, it is like having a new set.
Oh, Adriano had to jump out of the throttle there out of
10
4.
laps to go here at Milwaukee. 215 down, 10 to go. Chad Frankenfield, Adriano Pinero, Jesper Orman, Rodrigo Frangioni, and Zach Flom. The top 5. Yellow flag back out.
Oh, and Speed
Don
Racer
Hunter
has
involved. Speed Racer, no speed, no more. As he's just burning it out up on the wall. Oh, no. As we take a look at what happened here to Don Hunter as he continues to crash on the racetrack.
It looks like some help from Kevin Burrell.
Kevin Burrell up into Don Hunter. Don Hunter into the wall. His race parts everywhere. Side pods, front wing, rear wing, tires. Everything just falling off. It's like a loot bag at a birthday party. He's just giving pieces to everybody.
Hate seeing that for Speed Racer. He had done such a good job avoiding everything. And
A couple new faces up in the top 10. Actually, Chad Simpson, a new one up there in the top 10. He was up earlier towards that top 5. Now back in the 10th position. Josh Chin has only worked his way up to 9th. In the 8th position, Michael Hosek, Seb Alexander in 7th. Craig Forsyth there in 6th. And the top 5 remains the same with Zachary Flom in 5th. Rodrigo Frangioni in 4th. Jesper Orman in 3rd. Adriano Pinero in 2nd. And your race leader with under 10 laps to go will be less than 5 to go, most likely, when we do go green. Chad Frankenfield out front looking for that victory here tonight.
And I believe this will be the last yet. If we get another yellow, that will end the race. I do not believe there are any green-white checkers in this series.
Nah, we don't do green-white checkers unless they decide, oh, we'll do a one-lap shootout like real-world event that took place this past weekend.
What series was that? I can't remember what series it is that runs 500 miles.
The Dallara cars, Chris. Come on now. the Rebila's Open Wheel Series in real life. Yep.
It sounds good to me. So you guys got any big plans for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to watch some racing from Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility. What about you, Chris?
Well, I don't know what I'll be doing. I typically be right there with you watching some racing, but my favorite driver is not participating this weekend. He took the week off. He needed another week to let his leg heal. So
He had a little vacation, did he?
Yeah, so I don't know if I'll be tuning in as intently as normal.
So I just want to point something out real quick here, and Chad might kill me at some point, depending on how these final 7 laps go. The last victory for Chad Frankenfield in an open wheel vehicle here in the Elite Racing League in this particular series came at Phoenix on April 16th, 2021, where he started 6th and finished 1st. That's a long time ago. Top 5 in that race. 2 of them were in the race tonight. Chad Frankfield, Caleb Benchy, Tyler Fody, Brian Blauman, and Ryan Schuld, the top 5 that night.
And I just got word here, too. I don't think we've done any plug-in. We got Championship Week and Elite next week for all the series except this Open Wheel Series. We'll crown a champion on Sunday night, Monday night, and Wednesday night. And then the Open Wheel Series next Thursday night will be live from Long Beach.
And also...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Long Beach is a tough nut to crack, too. Long Beach is a tough nut to crack. That place is so precise. And then we're going to Brands Hatch Indy, which is going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
I do also want to point out, Chris, just before you go back in, that a week from this upcoming Tuesday, so June 13th, we will kick off season number 2 of the PitPassNetwork.com ARCA series, which, Chris, you took part in that last season.
Yeah, that was a great series. That was a great series. I had so much fun. I'm so glad it's coming back. It's a great place to learn.
Charlotte, week number 1 as well, which was one of the best races we had last season.
Isn't Chris now ineligible to run that series?
I am. Me and Ethan are both. We got kicked out of that series, so
yeah.
Ethan won all those races, and I won the title, so we're moving on.
So I'm definitely hoping to have Chris up in the booth for some of those races next season with his experience in the ARCA car.
Hopefully next week, Johnny Thomas will come back. I know everybody probably doesn't want to listen to me talk about these open wheel cars, so hopefully we'll have Johnny back with you next week.
Well, Chris, I do hate to interrupt our hyping up of Johnny Thomas. We do love Johnny. Coming off of turn number 4, coming to the green flag, Chad Frankenfield, green flag in the air. Frankenfield, Pinero, Orman, Frangioni, and Flom here with 4 laps to go. Frankenfield with a nice jump ahead of Adriano. Adriano takes to the bottom, trying to cut that corner short. Chad continuing to lead here, coming to 3 laps to go here at Milwaukee. It's been one heck of a race thus far. Some misfortune for Pinero, put him in the pit wall, and then lost him the lead. Now he's been fighting back, coming to 2 to go next time as Chad heads down the back straightaway. A bit of a gap over the Pinero machine. Pinero with a gap over Orman. Orman with a gap over Frangioni, who also has a gap on Flom. Coming to 2 to go now.
Them boys ran a 22.356 to a 22.386. They are running identical lap times right now. Chad just a hair faster.
With
he got
another
that time.
Personal best there, 21.82 to the 21.99 by Adriano Pinero. Coming to the white flag this time by off of turn number 4. Here comes Chad. He's going to take the white, looking to take his first victory in over 2 calendar years here in the Elite Racing Open Wheel Series. Of course, this year sponsored by Warriors for Peace. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Frankenfield, you could tell he's pumped right now. He's just got to get through 3 and 4 one last time. Off of turn number 4, he's kicking the tires in victory lane tonight. It is Chad Frankenfield, the number 15 machine, to victory lane at the Milwaukee Mile. Frankenfield, Pinero, and Orman, your podium with Frangioni and Flom in the top 5. Forsyth, Alexander, Hosick, Chin, and Simpson, the top 10. Congratulations to Chad Frankenfield, and it's a consolation prize for Little Eagle Racing after such a tough night.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll get some emotion here out of Chad. You know, it's been a
2
big
years,
week
man,
already
and
for
this
him.
is his series.
It is his series, and Chad. If you guys don't know, Chad lives this car. He lives this series. He is one of the biggest promoters outside of people who work at the big track between Columbus and St. Louis, and I had a chance to hang out with them guys at the Indy 500. I'm sure Chad is probably still fighting a headache, but he got it done tonight. And I just radioed him. I said, "Welcome to the club of people that have beaten Adriano Pinheiro."
Yeah, and it's I do want to take this opportunity since it is this series. We had a really good friend of the league here and somebody who runs in all the different league events. RC Anderson was over there to make his start at the big track, and it didn't end quite the way he wanted to. Ended early, had some kind of mechanical failure, but it was pretty cool to see RC go over there and have a shot and make the field and ultimately race in the big event. Hopefully they were able to learn what they needed to learn to go back next year and put RC in a chance to run top 10 or 15 up there.
Yeah, that guy. It only gives more and more. It only gives more and more cred to what Chad has built here. To see guys that have run in this series race in the big races. You've got on the stock car side, you've got a real live Busch Series champion that runs those races. On the open wheel side, 19 of the 33 guys that ran in this year's Indianapolis 500 have contested an elite open wheel race in the last 3 years. It's pretty amazing for sure.
Well, guys, it does look like we have 2 of our top 3 finishers. Typically, we don't get joined by Adriano after these races. I guess he's not overly confident with his English, which is okay. Congratulations to Adriano on his podium tonight. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Jesper Orman, our 3rd place finisher. And Chris and Mark, why don't you go ahead and talk to him about his race tonight?
Well, we are now joined by Jesper. Jesper, take us through your race there. We saw the big battle after Adriano had his trouble there on the pit road, and then you and Chad had a big battle. Talk us through that battle and what you needed there to just too many yellows at the end, didn't get the race enough, or do you think you had anything for Chad?
Yeah, it was, I would have wanted it to go green, like more than it did, because I know my strong side is like long runs, and I think it showed when Adriano had an issue on the pit road there. I knew that, okay, this is my chance. And then I came out in front of Chad, and he's saying I blocked him, which he's completely wrong. I just looked at the replay. That was not a reactive move. That was a proactive move. I moved way before he came up on me. So he had all the time in the world to go on the outside, and then we were back and forth, and then he just understeered into me into 4 without a penalty. I don't know what's going on there. That's weird. And then I lost momentum and lost a bit of concentration, and so Victor came up to me, and he's saying I blocked him, and I got a warning for blocking, which I don't understand either, because I checked the replay of that as well, and it was, it's not a block, it's a small fade. That's what it is. He had a lot of room on the inside, so don't agree with the no call on Chad, and I don't agree with the warning on my block, and I don't agree with Chad. That's okay. If it's not an excuse to turn into someone for something that happened 2 laps before that wasn't even penalized, or I didn't get a warning for blocking. So how does that have to do with anything? I don't understand. Anyway, E3, it's important to get these points in. It's a long season, and whenever things go not your way, you got to make sure you make the most of it. And well, I'm pretty happy with P3 then.
So do you think Chad should have had a penalty and maybe that shouldn't have won this race?
For sure. I would have won this race if he had gotten that penalty, which he should, because he just understated to me. Actually, I should have died there. I just saved the car because I know. I mean, I run this car a lot. I have experience. I should have died there, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. So maybe there'll be something going on after the race. Who knows?
Are you saying you're going to go throw hands? You going to find Chad? Go throw hands with you somewhere?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that maybe they're going to look at the incident afterwards and take a closer look. I think they should.
So Jesper, Mark Murphy here. You are without a doubt one of the most strategic and cerebral competitors that we have in this car, and it's always a pleasure to race with you. Talk to me a little bit about the fuel strategies and how you guys were able to work.
Yeah, so
how you guys were able to work that.
Yeah, so how it works, it's like map 1 or map 6 or map 5 doesn't really matter here. You just need to hit the line, and so I just went map 4 and map 5 and just was taking it easy, taking care of the tires and all that. And I think it was kind of 2 strategies going on. I think Rodrigo was on another strategy, so I knew he was going to have to make an extra pit stop there when he was ahead. So it's like I don't know, 150 to go when we pitted, and I knew that, okay, there's going to be only one pit stop after this. So we were all on the same strategy, and I don't think it was much of a fuel race, unfortunately, with all those yellows. Anyway, so would have wanted to go more green because, as I said before, my strong side is long run pace. So yeah.
Well, Jesper, it's always a pleasure to race with you, and I always learn a lot from driving behind you usually. And congratulations on a well-earned third place rather. Welcome to the Elite Racing League podium again, and I'm sure we'll have you up here again in the future. If you've got any sponsors, any people you'd like to shout out to, the floor is yours, my man.
No sponsors, but shout out to my teammates, Seb and Kevin. It's a long day out there. Got some points at least.
Yes, it is. And so congratulations to you again, and we'll see you up here in the future. All right, my man?
Thanks.
That was Jesper Orman, our third place finisher here tonight. Again, like I mentioned, no Adriano Pinero for an interview tonight, but standing by with Mark and Chris is our race winner, Chad Frankenfield. And again, first victory since April of 2021.
Well, Chad, it's been over 2 years since you were able to win in this series, and I show up to one of these events here tonight at Milwaukee, and you were able to get the job done. Take us through your night. The strategy, obviously, you were where when Adriano had his trouble, and then the contact and the racing there with Jesper. He was obviously not too thrilled with how it went down, but talk us through the race and ultimately that battle for what ended up being control of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to pass because their speeds are just, you're not dropping as much speed in the corners, and the dirty air is just awful. So you're constantly just trying to find where you can put the car. And, I found in practice I was able to really do a decent job in traffic. My teammates, we really, really focused on what fuel map would work good, throughout the race. In terms of with contact with Jesper, I knew that was going to probably be the battle for the lead once everything cycled through. So neither of us were going to give each other an inch. I think there was some moves that he made in front of me that I felt was a little questionable. Typically, you're not going to just make super quick movements. There was a couple times where I felt like he was kind of throwing some shade in terms of a block. It wasn't a full block, but it was kind of like putting me in a bad spot. We came off a 2 the one time, and he got loose above me, and he came down. And on my screen, he hit me. On the replay, there's net code. I don't know what you guys saw, but I just know that I had decent momentum, and that kind of killed it. So from that point on, I basically said, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. And I didn't mean to hit him. Obviously, I clipped a little bit of the grass, and it shot me up a little bit. And I'm just glad that he was able to continue on. And obviously that's not my intention, but you see it in real life with IndyCar and ovals. I mean, you have to be on the edge to make things happen, and if you don't, you're just not going to be successful. I mean, there's nobody that wins races in this series that isn't aggressive. So, yeah, I mean, everything worked out. I felt like if I could get in front of Adriano, I had a shot to win, and I guess he had a pit road issue. So.
Yeah, Chad, here I will hand it off to Mark, see what Mark has to say to you. But first, before I do, congratulations on getting this win tonight. I know this series just started up, so obviously you're looking to try to win the championship over here. And as always, you always do a great job running the elite. Looking forward to championship week next week, and getting to be a part of 2 of those nights next week. So I can't wait to get there and see if you can go and win 2 in a row at Long Beach next week.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. It's Miller's for you. What a tremendous run. You put him on it. You put it on him. You and I worked together quite a bit this week to get the setup nailed, and you drove it to perfection. Talk about one, what it was like sitting behind Adriano, knowing that you had the pace on him, and then tell me how bad the advice that you were getting from your crew chief in the last 100 laps was.
Well, in this series, obviously tonight was probably one of our worst short oval races in terms of yellows and things like that. This was not a common thing that happened, but it was frustrating because I felt like I had pace on him. I felt like I had an opportunity a couple times. It was just really frustrating because you want to. My biggest thing is I've always had the pace with the Adrianos, the Chins, those top guys here on these short tracks, especially the short tracks. What it comes down to is when the fuel save comes in, when the, when to push, when not to push comes in. That was something that I've had to work on over the years since this new tire was introduced. And working with my teammates, that's something we've really been preaching, is just making sure that we're thinking big picture. It's a 225-mile race. I mean, it's not a short race, and just put yourself in positions to be successful. And, on the ovals, I mean, you can't make mistakes. You can't make mistakes on pit road. And, fortunately, I felt like I put myself in a good spot there, and, I was able to capitalize, obviously, on Adriano's error.
Good deal. Well, as the purveyor of the terrible advice, congratulations. We're all proud of you. I know the rest of us had trials and tribulations, but you bring the win home for the team, and that's what's important. So you also had a really good points day with Malechka not in the show, running the Indy 500 only in one other race. You should be, if not the points leader, doggone close to it. So, hooray for that. Any sponsors, anybody that you'd like to shout out, any teammates that you would like to talk bad about? The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to thank Kicking the Tires for coming on board. They're going to be on board again in all my NASCAR stuff next season. I want to thank Little Eagle Racing, obviously. It's really tough for me as a driver, to put the league stuff to the side and focus on things. So a lot of times I overlook a lot of the things that you need to look. But I appreciate them helping me. I also want to thank IndyCar1909.com for coming on board. I always love having passionate IndyCar fans contribute, because I feel like our series is as close as you're going to get to the real thing in terms of iRacing. So I just a shout out to them for coming on board. Then obviously Warriors for Peace and Rabilla's Photography for just helping us out and obviously making this league happen. So yeah, it was a good night, obviously.
And once again, congratulations, Chad, on the victory. And folks, that was Chad Frankenfield, your race winner tonight. And guys, just before we head off for the evening, any final thoughts from you, Mark and Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about tonight. Have a lot of things that I won't say, but what I will say is what Chad has shown us tonight is that if you take care of the details and you work hard and you um, have a dedicated group of people helping you out and you practice, Adriano is beatable and Chin is beatable. And so that's a great thing for our series to see somebody that's not named Chin, Van de Zand, or Pinheiro win a race. And hopefully we'll get to see more of that, because the more drivers who can win, the better the championship battles are going to be, and the better that the series is going to be overall. So, major kudos to Chad. Welcome to the club, buddy. You've now beaten Adriano. I've done it exactly twice. Heads up, and so he's got one more to go. But it's really good to see different people up front and winning races. I've got to say Jesper Orman again is one of the most cerebral and strategic drivers that is available in this car. He brings it home third, and man, one of these days I'll be up here not on lap 40. But overall, again, thanks to Raceverse and Black Magic Designs, IndyCar 1909, Warriors for Peace, all the Mark Robilas, all the people that make this happen, because it's a heck of a lot of fun, and we'll pick ourselves up and head to Long Beach next week.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Mark. It was a great race tonight. Lots of yellows, like Chad said, a lot more than usual. I think we did end up beating Bristol last night, which is kind of a shocker. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Mark, back to what you said about some different winners here. When are we going to get to talk to you after one of these races in Victory Lane?
I can tell you what, it ain't going to happen at Long Beach. I'm probably one of the bottom 10% road racers in the service, but tracks that I've got circled on my calendar. I had wanted to come here, obviously. Iowa, Michigan. I've won US 500s in other series and other capacities, and looking forward to that one. That one's always circled. And then Gateway. Gateway is my favorite track. That's coming up on August 31st. Yeah, I'm ready for that, baby. Troiano won there last year on a deal where Austin came out while we were both on pit lane. He crossed pit lane exit 10 feet in front of me and got out ahead of the pace car as the caution flew, and I got trapped a lap down. So, I'd been running him down before that happened. So, I'm ready for Gateway. I'm ready for Michigan, and the championship's probably over after tonight, but doesn't mean we can't win some races and have fun and give that baby a good ride.
That's right, Mark. And as for me, I enjoy coming out. Thanks to Robert for inviting me out tonight, Johnny for not showing up, but we'll see if Johnny gets back with Robert next week, and get your regularly scheduled guy in here, and maybe a little bit more serious than I am, because I just like to get in here and have some fun, and hopefully y'all enjoy listening to me talk.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I want to thank Mark and Chris for hopping up here. Dave joined us for a little bit, jumped in with a couple comments throughout the night, so thanks to Dave for that and for everything he does behind the scenes here at the Elite Racing Network. We definitely couldn't do it without you, Dave, and shout out to Johnny. He went golfing today, so kudos to him for hopefully not hitting anybody on the golf course like I probably would. But congratulations to Chad on the victory tonight. He's the third different winner in the first 4 races of this season, and we've had 3 different pole sitters as well. Malechka is the only one with 2 of each, and he's actually won both races they started on the pole. So if Malechka gets the pole next week at Long Beach, watch for him to win the race as well, because that just seems to be how it goes. But overall, I mean, yeah, we had a few more cautions than we would have liked tonight. 13 cautions total for 52 laps, and that's not typical of this series. Of course, next week at Long Beach, it's going to be completely different animal, and guys that were up front tonight may not be up front next week, and you may see guys who are running in the back that are running away with the race next week. So I'm excited for that one, and once again, I have to thank IndyCar1909.com for coming on board as the race sponsor tonight. Warriors for Peace being the series sponsor, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, Worldwide Technology Raceway, our premier partners. Of course, again, Worldwide Technology Raceway hosting NASCAR Truck and Cup this weekend. So if you're in the St. Louis area, Madison, Illinois, be sure to reach out and get some tickets. Let them know the Elite Racing Network sent you, and check out some great racing there. But that'll just about do it for us here tonight. Next race on the Elite Racing Network will come up Sunday night when Dave and Gerald put a wrap on the 2023 Truck Series season. Stay tuned, Sports Podcast Truck Series at Richmond. That will come at you live Sunday night. And then Chris and I will be back Monday evening on the Elite Racing Network here to bring the championship race there from Las Vegas. And of course, Wednesday night, we end the JoinAPS.com Cup Series season at the, I believe, are we also? Yeah, we're at Auto Club. Auto Club for the IndyCar 1909.com 200 there for the championship race. So be sure to tune in for all of those races. Support our sponsors, as we mentioned here tonight. Let them know the Elite Racing Network sent you. And we will see you Sunday night back here on the Elite Racing Network. And thank you to everyone for tuning in here tonight. And on behalf of our friend Brent Jones, cheers.